No, he's not swimming. Oh no, we drew. Yeah, it's basically there's 4 teams. So what were the points? Just Lewis! Lewis! He's commentating, Lewis! Lewis! Retiring. Someone on the second.
I believe,
Absolutely.
the Roses.
And this fixture fail every year. Never drama, never fails to bring joy and misery in equal measure. Okay. If you're joining us right now, you're watching the 2025 Roses Americans who are hosting the Lancaster Bombers. There's been always more Lancaster saying a lot because of course of university teams changing so much in the space of about 3 years. The 2022 Roses was the first, and since then for 3 straight years the Lancaster Bombers have carried the victory. However, it's been a tale of 2 types of games, because in the regular season and in the postseason, the Lancaster Bombers have met with the York Centurions 2 times, not in Roses, and in both games, the York Centurions have won those. Leading, and in these games, in the games that aren't Roses, they wear their yellow and black uniforms, and in Roses, of course, their white uniforms, leading to me. York are going to look to break that today.
The last game was in the playoffs of the Bucks season.
Just a month ago.
Just a very close game that saw the Bombers as the York Centurions won to progress to the playoff semi-final. So York feel like they have the wind up in their sails going into this Roses, trying to stop a potential four-peat for the Lancaster Bombers.
It was about York stopped first with a big passing touchdown. Answered back, gained momentum. York finally claimed that back after a ridiculous where it bounced off the helmet of a York player, of a second York player for the touchdown. And if you are wondering what the rules in football's like, don't do things as we go along with you. You will not be left.
The first step will always be the kickoff. It is very traditional in most contact sports and is seen in rugby as one team, currently the Lancaster Bombers, will kick off to the York Centurions, who will receive possession and put out their offence first in this Roses fixture.
Unfortunately, I will do my best to show be in the interest of impartiality, although me and Lewis are both Lancaster affiliated, we are going to be doing our best here. The York defensive main guy, who's a defense, he's a free safety. But experienced, having all three. Do you want to?
Our defensive captain and overall club legend, Jack Watson, 6th year.
It bounces. York
Number
into the out.
big game.
Cool. Yeah, so not a bad return. Good way. Here we go. Let's see what I believe Lancaster have installed a new defense following the loss to the Centurions in the last round. Do you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
the Lancaster Bombers, famed for their brute defenses. One of the best defenses in Div 2 Uniball over the season. Famed for their aggressive run stopping and often complicated pass coverage schemes set up by their famed coach Swimmers. So we will see what they have got to bring today. I believe that flag has brought it down.
So for anyone out there, a flag. We're not sure what the penalty was for there. Could have been a block in the back, could have been a hold, but typically they're enforced in yards. It's a game of territory, and York have been moved back to, it looks like, the 18-yard line, so they've got a long way to travel.
Parked up
York
in
begins to take, and there's a stop. Explain the basic rules. In American football, it's a game of territory. The offense, on offense, they're going to look to move the ball at least 10 yards with 4 attempts or downs. If they fail to make that, the ball will turn over to Lancaster, or to the opposing team generally. If they do make that, then they will get another 4 attempts to make another 10 yards. So here we go. York get ready to take the snap. Quarterback Tom Fanthorpe hands it off. It's a run up the middle. And stuff, not much there.
I believe
Typical
brought down.
start is an inside run there.
I believe brought down for about 2 yards of gain. Now, that would not be the best of moves for York going forward, as they would need 10 yards to be able to complete and keep the ball.
But, you know, sometimes a reliable small run right at the start, you know, safe, easy yards, gives them opportunity to convert on 3rd and 4th down. We're now on 2nd down. York line up again. The centre is the man who's touching the ball currently. He's going to snap it back to the quarterback. York looking like they're in a spread formation with 3 receivers to one side. They're going to motion a guy across now, number 18. Ball is handed off, another inside run. And he's brought down.
Brutal stuff in the run from Lancaster. You saw this all day in the playoff game, where Lancaster stuffed the run early and forced York to pass. A lot more riskier, but often more rewardable scheme of offense, with big splash plays coming quite often for the York Centurions, which you'll see a lot.
I'd expect York to try another run here. They've got maybe 2 or 3 yards to make on 3rd down, very makeable. Let's see what they do, but I would expect a run here. Here we are, another motion. And he goes for the pass. That was wrong. Short pass, completed. Was it enough? Was it enough?
Brought down by number 20 there, Jerome
down.
Addy. Number
Jerome
20,
Addy tackle, yes.
the president of the Lancaster Bombers this season, and special teams captain, so he's one of the key players on this Lancaster Bombers defense.
Experienced defensive back, but that pass was enough to get the 1st down. York with their first 3 plays, nothing splashy, but just what they need to be doing to settle themselves into the game. Just a couple of runs and a short pass. They're doing a good start, but equally they have a long way to go still. Let's see what they're going to do now. Number 11, I believe it was Matt Hill was his name, motioning across now. And it's a run. It's a run to the right side. Tackled down. Who was that?
That's number 62, Matthew Luff, and that's a big hit on 1st down to really stamp his marker on this game. He is a rookie and a defensive back, and has really imparted his enthusiasm and motivation to play football on this team.
Absolutely. Not sure what kind of play that was exactly. It could have been a counter, could have been a reverse. Not exactly sure. It's hard to see sometimes, but we're always doing our best for you. York typically, historically, have been more of a pass-heavy team. But settling the quarterback down with some runs here, it's a very mental position. Here he goes to the pass now. He's got the receiver's got the beat, and he makes a catch right over the head of the cornerback. He had the height, and he made a beautiful catch there.
That's a big splash play from number 12, one of their key players on offense for York, and they really wanted to target him. They see a bit of a height mismatch against one of the DBs in single side coverage. and they target it, and their QB makes a lovely throw over the top to jump for the contested ball. Lovely play.
Absolutely. It's a very good pass from Tom Fanthorpe. This is his third. It's his fourth Roses, technically, I believe, according to the team sheet. But it's his third that he's played in that I'm aware of. 2 years ago, when this fixture was played in York again, but at the big pitch, as he hands it off up the middle, brought down in the backfield. That's a great tackle from Jack Watson, the veteran. We'll get on to him later.
You will see a lot of that from Jack Watson. Swimmers, the coach, loves to use him up the middle, causing damage to the run and potential internal pressure on number 8, Tom Fanthorpe.
He is an absolute stalwart on this team, and he's been here for a long time, but we will get to him. As I was saying, 2 years ago, when this fixture was played, Rob Gorman was the starting quarterback for York. Fanthorpe was brought in late in the game when the Bombers were up by a couple of scores. They needed a splash play quick, and they brought in Fanthorpe. He wasn't able to turn that game over, but last year he was starting. He's gained experience. Now he's looking to do some damage. He beat this Lancaster as there was an outside run to the right, cuts up the middle, but brought down for only a couple of yards.
You see a lot of this from the Lancaster Bombers. They want players to be cutting in. They want the running backs on runs to be cutting in towards the big bodies and masses, and the players in the middle from our big hitters such as Jack Watson and Jerome
They're going to
Manning.
protect the outsides. Saw with that pass over the top. As we saw over the top, that pass over the top, which beat the Lancaster cornerback. They don't necessarily have a huge amount of size at that and those positions. So what they're going to try and do, as Lewis has said, is funnel it into the big bodies in the middle. Now a 3rd and long for York. This is crucial. They drop back to pass. It's a screen out to the right-hand side. Cuts inside. Missing tackles. Missing tackles again. He stays on his feet. He's got the first down and more. He's breaking to the left and brought out of bounds for a huge gain. That is a big play for York.
That is what in football we call YAC, yards after catch. He caught the ball there from about 2 yards in from the line of scrimmage, but he was able to run almost the length of the field, in fact, to gain about 15 yards for the York Centurions. Lovely play design from New York.
I would tell you his name, but I've already forgotten. Was it number 12? I've already forgotten which number it is, and that means I don't know. But if he's that good as he was, I'm sure we'll see plenty more of him. And I'll be able to give him a shout out later in the game. York now approaching scoring territory for Lancaster. They've got to tighten up. Maybe just a long drive in the sun. They've got a man in motion, and the snap. He goes for the pass. It's outright. Oh, and knocked away.
Big
Almost
pass
picked.
break up there from Jerome Maddy. One of the better DBs, one of the best DBs in the team, and one of the leaders out there. You will see big plays from him like that all day. But what can the York Centurions do with 3 plays in the red zone?
Fanthorpe maybe getting a little overexcited there. Quarterback is it's a very mental job. You have to an emotional job, but you have to try and keep the emotions out of it. As hard as that may be, you have to stay focused while people are trying to attack you. Not let the momentum swings, whether they be good or bad, get to your head. It's a difficult position, but Fanthorpe has done pretty well so far this drive. Let's see what he can do now against this staunch Lancaster defense. He hands it off up the middle.
It's a run.
For number 14, breaks one tackle and makes maybe an extra yard, but is brought down by a throng of Lancaster Bombers. Let me find his name, number 14. That is... Bear with, you say something.
It's a ground and pound offense from York. When they're in these positions, they've driven up the field. It may look like they're making the majority of the yards from big passes. So one would ask, why wouldn't they just pass every time? However, passing is a lot riskier. With a lot of running the ball, is a lot more chance of ball retention. And when the quarterback throws the ball on these big passes, there is the risk of throwing interceptions to the Lancaster Bombers defense. This is a big 3rd down from the York Centurions.
I didn't find number 14 on my team sheet, unfortunately. Drops back for the pass.
Oh, he's a bit of pressure.
Drops on the edge, but
brought down in the middle for about
pressure.
a 1 yard gain. And now this is a big decision on 4th down. Do you kick and take the 3 points, or do you try and risk it for the 4th down play?
Oh, they're going for it. The pressure off the edge from Rehan Ayinla forced Fanthorpe up the middle, forced him to dash, and he was brought down. Here we go. York Centurions going for it.
Big play.
They're going for the pass.
There's pressure again here from Rehan.
Rehan is off on out, chasing him again. He pans it off.
He made the catch. That's a big play there from York Centurions to
Is
get
that
that conversion.
Let's see. It's hard to see from this angle. It's hard to see where the 1st down markers are as they're on our sideline and the Lancaster players are in the way, but it looks like that was a conversion. York now deep in the red zone, looking to score. This is a good time as any to go over how scoring works in American football. the ultimate aim that every time the offense takes the ball that they're trying to achieve is a touchdown. It's very similar to a try in rugby, or there's no what? There's no, yeah. You don't need to touch the ball down as in rugby, but just simply catch or run the ball into the end zone as they line up again. York motioning across, handing it off, running to a left, but brought down the backfield by David Liu, the big number 9 defensive lineman.
That was a bit of a combo tackle from both Davids in the team. David Liu, the nose tackle, and David Kay, who's more of an outside linebacker mold, but he's used incredibly well in this defense to stuff the runs, especially wide out and using his pace on the outside.
As I was saying, getting the ball into the end zone gets you 6 points and an opportunity to convert, either by kicking an extra point through the uprights or getting it into the end zone again for a 2-point conversion. Fanthorpe hands the ball off to the left, but he's brought down. Lancaster run defense stiffening here. It's been mainly through passing that York has advanced the ball, whether that be a screen pass, which is attempting to draw in defenders and sneak runners ahead. Attempting to bait people in and dunk the ball over their heads, or whether that's being an orthodox pass. But it's been mainly through that York has gained all their yards. Apart from that one, that splash play was the screen, wasn't it? Yeah, it's the typical running has been shut down very well by Lancaster so far. I'm expecting to see some more passing going on here. If they fail to score a touchdown, they can attempt to kick a field goal from where they are on the field. So that's just kicking the ball through the uprights, and that will get them a more modest sum of 3 points.
Big third down here.
I'm glad you're counting because I'm forgetting. Here we go, man in motion. He snaps the ball, he looks at the pass.
It's a lot of
right
pressure
hand.
there.
He's brought down! The pressure from the Lancaster defense. It's unreal there.
That's a massive sack from number 51, Nathan Ray, a rookie of the team. Also plays Brit ball for the Essex Tridents, which he famously likes to mention. But that is an amazing sack from him. What a big first
man come across to block Rayhan there, rather than because the lineman failed the block, or either they didn't assign someone to him. Which is rather foolish if they didn't, because Rayhan far too large. That looks like they're going to go for the field goal here by the formation. Oh, maybe not. No, looks like they're going to go for a regular play. The size of the Lancaster D-line really telling there. Here we go.
I'm sorry about the discussion. This is actually the third down.
Third down here. Here we go. Fanthorpe drops back to pass. He looks left. He fires.
Just over the top of him by Tom Fanthorpe. They're calling for PI, which is a pass interference call. The flag pass interference call is called when the ball is made catchable to a wide receiver, but is impeded by the defensive back trying to guard him.
Yeah, the rule is as a defensive back or as a wide receiver is that you have to play the ball, not the man, once the ball is in the air. Before the ball's in the air, you can do whatever pushing and shoving, but after the ball's in the air, you need to be playing that ball. And if you're a defensive back, you need to knock that ball out of the sky with your hands rather than knocking the receiver over. But that call is not given. York now have a 4th down decision to make. Do they kick the field goal or do they go for it?
They look like they're going for it. Their QB number 8, Tom Fanthorpe, is out there, and they look like they're in the formation. This is a huge 4th down for the momentum of the game.
Yeah, it looks like they've got about 12 yards to go, and I would expect nothing less than a big pass here. He drops back, fires.
Unbelievable break up there.
Who was that?
That is number 66. I believe that is Mikey. That is an unbelievable play from him. An unbelievable resilience from the Lancaster Bombers defense to come off the pitch in that situation with no scores conceded.
It's been a long drive,
Long drive.
York after that penalty on the kickoff, they were down about the 18-yard line, something like that. That means they've marched. It means they've marched about 70 yards downfield, but failed ultimately to score anything. But still, a very encouraging drive from York, the York Centurions offense. They'll be taking that to the future. But now we see the Lancaster offense taking the field. A very different formation, typically a much more run-heavy formation. York making plenty of noise on the sideline.
First pass by Jax Taylor.
The quarterback,
he's gone deep.
Pass,
and
it is intercepted.
47.
By York.
That's Archie Baines, I believe, their president of the York Centurions. And that is his 3rd consecutive Roses game, I believe, with a pick. That is insane form from him, and a play that the Lancaster Bombers offense would like to forget quickly.
I'd certainly like to have that one back. Jack Taylor, they went aggressive straight away, unlike York's approach of running the ball to start. Lancaster went straight for the aggression. and it did not pay off in this example. York now have the ball on the 44-yard line, so that's how far they've got to get to the end zone. Jack Taylor not happy with that. He's also a long-standing member of the team. He's been around since the 2021-2022 season, I believe. And York now, after their very long drive,
They're back on tired legs
they
on
hand
that
the ball off to
defense,
the
I
right.
suppose.
A little pop pass, but it's shuttled out of bounds. Some big contact as they knocked out of bounds, but not much in the way of yards there.
On the topic of quarterbacks, obviously it being such a psychological game, there is a thought that an interception could take a toll mentally on the player.
Yeah.
However, Jax Taylor, number 6 for the Lancaster Bombers, is going to have to pick his head up and get ready for the next drive for the Lancaster
Not
Bombers.
to mention for the defense, you know, you and me having played D-line, the most physical position, which is the players who are crouched over right now. Well, we got a man in motion. I'll save it for afterwards. Got Matt Hill running across, one of the captains. The ball is snapped and handed off up the middle. And he's brought down, stuffed by Jack Watson, straight up the middle. Whistle's blown.
York love to run these plays where they have a tight end lead blocking, and they'd like to kind of have the tight end motion across and go into one of the gaps in the interior line and work as the lead blocker. That way it keeps the defense honest. It's a new scheme from the York offense, and it's one that is causing some problems early on for the Lancaster Bombers defense.
Tight end, for the record, is a sort of hybrid position. He stands next to the offensive linemen, who are the big blockers in the middle, your 5 men you see in the middle, but he's also able to catch the ball, like the receivers you see out wide. The ball is snapped. Fanthorpe drops back.
Fanthorpe is a big drop back.
Screen
It
pass
looks like a
out to the
screen.
left, but this time bottled up by the Lancaster defenders. And this is impressive from Lancaster to bounce back and have the energy. Usually, you know, if you're on defense, as I was about to say earlier, the crushing thing, one of the most crushing things is putting in a long, hard drive, you know, where you get marched back, but eventually get off the field without letting the other team score. And then one play later, you hear your offense, everyone yelling, defense, defense on. You know, it's exhausting, especially in the sun. It's heating up here, and Lancaster have not let that get to them. They've come straight out of the fire.
That's a big drive from the Lancaster Bombers. You're expecting York to punt here, although they don't seem to be doing it. They will be going for it on 4th down again.
I think it's the third. Is this 3rd down? Jason, what down is this? It is indeed 4th down. Here they go. They're going to go
here
for
a pass. Rayhan
is in his face, knocks him over.
And that's a lovely pass coverage. You're seeing a lot better pass coverage with this new scheme from the Lancaster Bombers defense, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Absolutely.
On a big drive after that early interception from
Now
York.
Lancaster will take over from midfield. Fanthorpe wanted roughing the passer call there. That's a penalty where a defensive player hits the quarterback too late after he's let go of the ball. But the ref ruled that it was just in time, just about time. You know, he didn't throw the flag there. Of course, on offense, you want things to be a bit quieter. You want to settle down. You've got plays to do, and York know that. They're making all the noise, making the best of their home field advantage on the sideline to disrupt the Lancaster offense.
This is a big drive from the Lancaster offense. I expect to see a lot of runs, put the ball in the playmakers' hands that the offense have, and hopefully build Jax Taylor's confidence. Number 6, the quarterback for the Lancaster offense, a bit more confidence in his step after the early interception from him.
Ball's being walked back by the refs. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. It might be a change of quarter. So obviously, well, not obviously, but American football is a game that works in quarters as well as halves. So there's a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter. And at the end of each quarter, the teams change sides. That's what you're seeing here. So this gives us a very good view. Lancaster now have about 59 yards to march down the field. Let's see what they pull out here. It's a new start for Jack Taylor. It's a new start for that Lancaster offense. Here they go. The ball is snapped and handed off. Camille has the ball. He runs
Number
left
23.
to the outside. He's cleared him, but he gets out of bounds. Number 47 for the York Centurions, Archie Bainge, just about saving disaster for the Centurions there by shoving Camille Ziatara out of bounds. Camille has also been on the team for a long, long time. He's a veteran, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, I imagine, after that last game. You know, the game a month ago, the Centurions won. After the, if you were in earlier and you heard about the ridiculous play where the ball bounced off of a helmet and into the hands of the Centurions player in the red end zone, immediately after that, Camille had a fumble, and that put the game out of reach really for the Bombers. At least that's how it felt. and I think he's got something to prove here as he gets the ball again, running right,
There's a
and
big
he's
run
brought
there.
down by 3 York Centurions. A solid gain there, modest but solid. It's now 3rd down, and it looks about like 5 yards.
This is good from the Lancaster Bombers offense. They're after a quite brutal first drive with the first play interception. They're trying to install a bit more tempo in their offense, running the football, and I expect to see a pass very soon by this offense to reinstall confidence in the pass game.
We got second down, not 3rd down. Sorry, second and about 5 or 6 yards. It's a very manageable situation. Lancaster have Matt Charles in at fullback. He's the one crouched over in the backfield. He's a hard hitter, and he gets the ball right now. They're running left, but he gets brought down. A very, very nice tackle by number 23 for the York Centurions.
Unbelievable play there from the York Centurions. One of their
that deserves a shout out. Let me pull up his name.
One of the stars of their defence that we've seen from the Lancaster Bombers' perspective is number 98, Connor Greenlow. He creates a lot of pressure off that edge in terms of the run game. He affects that a lot. And the pass game. I know Jax Taylor, number 6, is definitely looking out for him before every pass.
That tackle was made by Miles Evans, nicknamed the Octopus. After you've scored, we'll kick the ball away.
This is a big drive for the Centurions. So much of American football at this level is guided by momentum. Wins are in the sails. Let's see how York Centurions respond to a big drive.
This will be the first time the York Centurions have received the ball and kick off. Obviously at the start of the game, Lancaster kicked off. We're now seeing Lancaster about to kick off. Number 19, I believe, who was I'm not sure if he was placeholder on the field goal, but he's certainly the kickoff man. He's going to kick it, maybe deep. Actually, hold on, I misspoke earlier. Lancaster kicked off in the first half, so this is the second time.
A club favourite kicker.
York are receiving.
Number 19, Have Morgan, second year on the team, and an all-round lovely guy. Everyone loves him at the Bombers.
Here we go. He's kicked it right to the left, and he's swarmed by Bombers, but he's agile. Running laterally, but getting no yards there. You know,
big
lateral running. Sometimes you get a bit. You think you're getting a bit of space, but really, this game is all about forward territory gain.
Big lateral speed displayed there by number 20, Jerome Addy. He hunted him down from the first whistle and matched the pace around the outside.
We are going to reintroduce the score for the TV viewers who may have tuned back in just now. The score is 6-0 to the Lancaster Bombers. They have just scored a touchdown on their second offensive drive. York are now beginning their third offensive drive, as Lancaster look to stop them again. It's a run up the middle, good blocking, but a throng of Lancaster defenders swarm the York running back there.
You can see a big element of what's been installed by the Lancaster Bombers defence here. They were attacking that ball. The running back was running up the middle. It's dangerous sometimes when he's got the ball and there's 3 defenders around him, and the defenders were trying to punch that ball out, recover it, and give the ball back to Lancaster Bombers offence. But overall, good ball handling there from the running back for York Centurions. Sorry, I did not catch your name.
It was Lucas Bobath, I believe, is the York running back there. Again, you know, I'm trying my best with the York names. I have to pull them up one by one on my phone. But now York have a lot of yards to make now. They got good second down yard. Here we go. It's a pass, and
that's a good pass.
They tried to do the same thing they did earlier. You know, bomb the ball over the top of a shorter cornerback, but that one was underthrown a little bit.
That is a very similar play. What we call the down the seam fake. That York Centurions have used throughout the history of playing the Bombers. For the last 3 years, they've hit us actually with it 3 times and scoring on all 3, including the last playoff game. So
Lancaster bringing in a substitution. Big number 9 nose tackle. David Leo is coming in with the shiny red helmet. Not sure why his helmet is shiny and red, but you know he makes himself heard. Here he goes, and it's a run up the middle, stuffed again. York really had quite good yardage on first down, but after the second and third downs have just
seeing a lot
of them, and now they're faced with another choice. Do they punt the ball away, play it safe, or try and attempt to convert this?
You're seeing a lot of running from the York Centurions early, which is very much off script from what we originally planned.
It's a little conservative here. They're going to punt the ball away. A punt, if you don't know, it's essentially a way of cutting your losses in this sport. As I said earlier, you have 4 attempts to make 10 yards. If you don't make it after the first 3, what teams typically will do if they're not far down the enemy in enemy territory, is putting the ball away, which just basically means kicking it, so that when the other team gets the ball, they have a long, long way to go rather than a short way. They're going to try and pin Lancaster way back inside their own territory here.
Yep. They want their offense to
Here we are.
drive the ball as far as possible.
Punt comes away clean. It's not bad. It takes a bounce and is down by York at about the 25-yard line. So, you know, average sort of field their position there for Lancaster. As Lewis was just saying, it's a bit unexpected what we were seeing from York here. Very much more run heavy than we were expecting. In both the playoff game a month ago and in this game, it's mainly been York's passing that's been the most effective. But as Lewis said earlier, a bit more risky. Maybe they're trying to play it safe, ease into this game, sound out the Lancaster defense.
It's good play calling from York. They're trying to keep Lancaster honest. If you commit too many players into the run game, then the pass game becomes more open. And if you obviously commit a lot of more players into the pass game, the run game becomes more open. So by showing that you're a dual threat offense, a lot more is options and open on the table later.
We'll see if that pays off for them later in the game. Right now, Lancaster take the field again for 1st and 10. Here we go.
Showing heavy blitz here.
And they're going to run it to the left. A little toss play to Matt Charles. He stiff arms a man into the dirt, takes a hit, breaks a tackle, and another, but it's forced out of bounds just after a 12-yard gain.
Once again, Matt Charles, he loves biting down on the gum shield and driving 4, then 5, 6, 7 yards after the contact.
That just plays into what we're seeing here today. The difference maker so far for me has not been skill, it's not been tactics, it's been physicality. Lancaster have been forcing their way to the end zone with grit, you know, and breaking tackles. Not that none of the York players have shown grit, but I think there's a slight edge right now. It's handed off to Camille. He runs right. He's got blockers. He gains about 3 or 4 yards there. Modest gain, but solid nonetheless.
You saw number 6 there, Jax Taylor, try for a little cut block on the outside of the reverse player from 98. He won't want to do that again after the look of him.
Here we go. York looking for answers. They still have plenty of field position to give up before they're in danger. But after the last drive where they got scored on, they need a statement play. I think in one of these moments, what really changes it is having one big play, like one big hit, one big tackle, a good bat down as the ball is handed off again to Matt Charles. He's up the middle. Again, another modest gain of about 3 yards. What York
is the
really
ball
want
out?
Here is is the ball out? If the ball is fumbled and picked up by the other team, of course, possession changes. It can be a big momentum swing, but it doesn't look, judging by the lack of cheering.
He was down.
Doesn't look like that's what's happened. As soon as the player with the ball's knee touches the ground, they are officially down and the player's dead. Unlike in rugby, for example. Yeah, if the ball goes out of bounds or is thrown and hits the ground, or if the player with the ball takes a knee or is brought down, the player is immediately dead. That's a key difference in this sport, of course.
You're seeing a big third down here, around 3rd and 3 from Lancaster Bombers, parked up in their 40-yard line. Expect a punt if this was to gain no extra yards.
Very, very, very makeable, but also they don't have a second chance at this, probably. Matt Charles takes the ball up the middle. He makes the yards, but there is a flag on the field. That means a potential penalty. And that could be on either team. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what we see. Common penalties are false starts. That's where the offensive line or the offensive players move before the ball is snapped. There can be holdings where you're not allowed to. Okay.
Defensive offside there.
So that will not count against the Bombers there. The defensive offside is when a defensive player moves over the line of scrimmage, which is the line that the ball starts on each play. If a defensive player moves over that before the ball is snapped, then that's against the rules, and the offense automatically gets 5 yards from that. Or they can choose to decline it and just take the yards they gain from the run, which I think it would be pretty similar either way. Either way, Lancaster gain a fresh set of downs here, and now moving from midfield, aiming for York territory.
York have been a bit sloppy with these penalties early on, with that first off the kick off the block in the back and that defensive offside.
There's not been too many. Lancaster haven't been charged with any yet, but I wouldn't say York have been particularly bad. Matt Charles swarmed in the backfield. He tries to stiff arm, but this time he's brought down by 2 York Centurions. He could not break 3 of them.
That's a good break from Conor Greenlow, number 98 by the York Centurions. Got a lot of pressure up for Matt.
Key player for York.
But you can see what the Lancaster Bombers offense wants to do. They want to get their star running backs, number 23 Camille Ziatara and number 8 Matt Charles, into a lot of open room, breaking tackles and driving downfield.
I think we need to give the offensive line some credit here. There's been some good gaps created. The offensive line are typically a position that doesn't get shouted out much because they never get much personal stats. But they are creating all the gaps, creating all the opportunities for the running backs. Like Matt Charles here, he has the ball, he's running in the middle. Exactly, just right like there. He had a nice gap opened by the lineman there on his side. And then once he's up to speed, once he's running in momentum, he uses his big body to break tackles.
And that will be a big first down for the Lancaster Bombers. They're nearing around the 50-yard marker now.
It's been a big drive. It looks still like third and 5. Because of course, that on that previous play, Matt was brought down the backfield, losing yards for the Centurions. So now we have about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Again, makeable for Lancaster, but they're not in a position to kick the field goal or. So they need to make something out of this for sure. I expect to see another run. That's what they've been doing all game. That's what's been working for them. We have a man in motion. He drops back to pass. Every time I say it's a run, it's a pass. And he fires deep, and it hits the ground. Ball was slightly over the hands of the receiver. He wasn't really going to catch that.
Similar to York's big pass earlier, they wanted to target the big man, number 89, Ben Riley, in single coverage against some smaller DBs, work on the height mismatch. But slightly overthrown, unfortunately, there by number 6, Jack Taylor.
And now as we come to 4th down, Lancaster look like they're opting to punt it, as we just saw York did, and give York hard field position to move on. I don't know if it's possible for anyone to give us a time check, but we must be solidly into the 2nd quarter now, meaning that half-time will be fast approaching. York are going to be looking. We only have 12-minute quarters.
The 12-minute quarters, they go
12-minute quarters. But of course, the clock stops every time. Oh, ball is snapped and punted. It's punted high. Not a great punt there as it goes very high in the sky. And it looks like it goes out of bounds before the ball bounced. That would be a penalty if so. I don't see a flag. Maybe it did bounce. It's hard for me to see from this angle.
Not the best punt there.
But yeah, not the best punt. They didn't gain that many yards from that, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. What was I talking about? Yeah, time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 12-minute quarters, but the clock will stop every time the ball is thrown incomplete. So if the ball is thrown forwards and hits the ground, the clock stops. And if the ball is run out of bounds, the clock also stops. The clock runs when a player is tackled in bounds. So 12 minutes is actually a little bit longer. But yes, I would expect York to be on a bit of a clock here. If they want to get anything out, any score before the half ends.
Motion here.
It is a run up the middle, but nothing there. Lancaster's stout defensive line stops that.
Lancaster Bombers defense. They really know, and they're best at situations where teams want to run it down their throats towards some of their best players in the nose tackle, number 9 and number 74, Jack Watson. It's an unbelievable play from him.
And my guy, Lucinio Gomez, who we have not seen playing in Roses for 3 years. When I was on the field myself, playing alongside him at defensive line, he is now back. I think he had to take a year to intercalate, but he's now back on the squad. He's bringing his experience and size and athleticism to this game. Fanthorpe drops back to pass. He throws it short, but it's knocked away by Jerome Addy.
Number 20, Jerome Addy, establishing himself in the pass game early on, as he'd love to do, and he celebrates emphatically, as he usually does after a big play there.
Yeah, after that last game, he was taking some heat over the plays he supposedly let up. I think he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder as well, as do a lot of the Lancaster guys. I think that's typically what you see in Roses, really, of the Bombers and the Centurions. Centurions typically have a little bit more of regular season success, both against the Bombers and just generally. They're the team that has made playoffs more consistently than the Bombers. They're the team that has seen Division 1, which is the division above where the Bombers and the Centurions currently play, more recently than the Bombers. Yeah, they haven't lost to the Bombers outside of Roses since COVID. But I think typically what that means is that Lancaster come into this match with an all-or-nothing mindset. They need something. They know this is the biggest game of the season for them. They know they need something to so that they're not feeling miserable all summer, really. And they train hard and they train long, and they train with anger. And
in fact, the PI, there was a flag for pass interference on number 20, Jerome Addy, after all the gassing up we were doing. It is actually a first down for the York Centurions and a plus 15. We unfortunately did not see it from our...
Well, it's hard to see from this angle. We don't exactly have a skybox. We're doing our best here. But here, with a fresh set of downs, the York Centurions, new lease of life, look to do some damage. They've got a man in motion. Fanthorpe drops back to pass. He fires. He's got a man.
Oh, And that's another pass interference play. Number 62, Matthew Luff there.
He got beaten
Sadly,
there.
got beaten badly by number 87. That's
Number
a really
87
good play from the York Centurions.
Got in ahead of him. And yeah, I mean, in that thing, it might have been a tactical decision to grab onto his jersey and prevent him from making that catch. 15 yards is the penalty, the standard prescribed penalty for pass interference in this league. Whereas, if he had broken free there, it could have been considerably worse.
2 back-to-back pass interference calls for the Lancaster Bombers.
And suddenly that sort of thing of discipline. Lancaster hadn't had a single penalty until this drive. All of a sudden, things are starting to crack a bit. And it's been the passing attack. As I said earlier, it's not been York's running attack that's been doing any damage. It's been the passing attack. Now it seems like York is starting to lean into that. Lancaster have to sort that out right quick.
From what turned into somewhat of a nothing drive for the York Centurions has turned into a prime optimum time to score a touchdown. 40 yards to go, and a fresh set of downs for the York Centurions offense.
We've got a lot of standing around. They're getting set still. Of course, with time winding down in the second quarter, if York can score here, it might be too late for Lancaster to get in an answering touchdown. And of course, with them missing the extra point, they're just one kick away from getting the lead before half-time. Spanford goes to the run. It's up the middle. Not bad blocking, but he's out-muscled at the middle. It's about, it's an okay gain of about 3 or 4 yards there.
We are at the 2-minute warning here for the first half.
There's 2 minutes left of play in the half. As I said, time winding down. That'll go pretty quickly. York's intention there maybe to, if you throw an incomplete pass, the clock will stop. But if you run it and get tackled, the clock will keep running. Maybe they just wanted to reach the 2-minute warning there and wind time down so that whatever happens, whether they score or not, Lancaster won't get another chance on offense until the second half.
This is a big drive for the York Centurions, going in with a touchdown. The win could be in their sails for a big second half here in Roses.
Absolutely.
All to play for in American football here.
We've only seen one score today. And of course, the other thing to mention in Lancaster's favour is that they will receive the ball after half-time. I do believe Lancaster kicked off right at the start of the game. So here we are, 2nd and 6 by the looks of it. They've got 6 yards to go and a couple more attempts to do it in.
Looks relatively...
Number 18 in motion. And ball is snapped.
Pass.
Thrown out left, but it hits the ground. It's incomplete. That ball from Fanthorpe a bit low, a bit inaccurate, and they will lose a down for that.
It looked like, from my angle, a poor snap from the centre there caused Tom Fanthorpe, number 8, to think about the ball, get it back in, and slightly put him off his timing, in which is so important for the quarterback's success.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here we go. A crucial 3rd down now. They've got a good ways to go, and not really in field goal range. If they don't get this, if they don't get within a yard or 2 of the marker, you might see a punt. Here we go.
Seeing a lot of frantic movement here.
Fanthorpe drops back. He fires left. And it is caught by the York receiver.
Number 12 again
Driven
on
out
that
of bounds.
single side option. They want to target the tall guy down low. They want to get him one-on-one into coverage with DB, use his height, and that's a brilliant, brilliant pass by number 8, Tom Fanthorpe.
Excellent.
And York are going to pile on the pressure to end the half here on the Lancaster Bombers defense.
It looks like, okay, so I'm just trying to see what the down markers are. Looks like they've got the ball. It's within the 10-yard line. So they have less than 10 yards, or it looks like just about 10 yards to go. They are knocking on the door here.
This would be huge red zone.
Jinx. This would be huge for the for York Centurions if they can score this. Oh, that looks like a false start.
See there, false start by
You're getting too excited. On defense, you can jump around before the snap as long as you don't cross the line. But on offense, you have to stay very still until the ball is snapped. You're not allowed to go defensive players into jumping across the line. It looks like one of the York players, he's smacking his helmet. He's unhappy with himself. One of the offensive linemen moved too early, letting the moment get to him, and they lose 5 yards for that.
Yeah, it's a big 5-yard loss there. It now becomes a 15 yards to the end zone with no potential alternative of getting a fresh set of downs.
It does make all the difference. That being said, York have hung their hat on explosive passing plays here, so they're definitely within range. Lancaster need to tighten up here. They need to play with everything they have.
A pivotal drive here.
Here we go. Ball is snapped. It's a QB run up the middle. He breaks a tackle. But Fanthorpe driven back.
Down.
It gets him nowhere.
Number 97 there, Rehan Alinia, absolutely diving there for number 8, Tom Fanthorpe.
He caught, I think he failed to make the initial tackle attempt, failed to make the tackle, but he did slow him down. It looked like a QB quarterback draw. It's a play where they try and make like a pass, and the quarterback runs right up the middle, but I'm not sure what the thinking was there, because Lancaster's interior protection has a lot of big bodies, and it has not failed today. It's been these big outside passes that have done all the damage.
One of the biggest threats about Tom Fanthorpe, number 8, is his ability to rush the football, throw on the pass.
We haven't seen much of that today, though. We haven't seen much of his rushing ability.
No.
That was maybe a first attempt at that, but, you know.
Expect to see it later on if maybe York are chasing the game and they need these pass plays where he's in the pocket a lot more.
Certainly you'll see some shifts at half-time.
100%. Lancaster Bombers, I believe, calling a timeout there. They know how pivotal this is as a possession for the York Centurions. If the Lancaster Bombers can somehow get out of this without conceding any points, after York have been in their red zone twice, this will be a huge victory for the Lancaster
Very
Bombers
big,
defense.
morale-wise. Just taking some time to refine their strategy. Defensive coordinator Swimmers going into the huddle there, and he's just now leaving. He's the man in the orange cap, if you ever saw him. He's been with the Bombers for many, many years in this role, and typically led quite a stout unit. And he's maybe a little conservative, but he's reliable. He knows how to get these guys up to scratch. And now,
there's a big play
on
here.
second down,
York in empty with no running back on the field, meaning pass is incredibly likely.
Throws over the middle. It's knocked
and
away by the Bombers.
Lancaster.
Bombers sideline is very happy
Good
with that
play
one.
up the middle by the DBs of the Lancaster Bombers defense, keeping it stout. You'll see that a lot from New York, potentially in the second half. It's called the empty front, where they have not got a running back in, and it's five wide receivers.
The maximum number. I expected to see that earlier, to be honest.
Yep.
That was in the playoff game a month ago. That was the formation you saw when York changed things up when they were down and managed to get something going. Are they going to let up in that again? Yes, looks like it. They've got 4 receivers to the right side.
Wow.
So, very lopsided front. Let's see. They hand the ball off. It's a run at the middle. No, Fanthorpe has kept it, and he throws to the end zone. The man is unmarked for the touchdown.
Number 87 there from the York Centurions. We're going to get his name, but that is an unbelievable play design. One side with the 4 wide receivers with the motion over. They thought it was a run to the weak side of the single side receiver, but the quarterback had the ball. The pass coverage kind of wilted due to the confusion of whether it was a run or a pass.
That is
and
number
that is what
87.
A play option.
Play action. Play action.
Sorry,
number 87. I just had it. Jacob Dilly, wide receiver. Let me try and see some more information about him.
It's
his first year. It's his first year study, first year of Roses. A rookie receiver. He'll be very excited. It's not often that a rookie gets to make a go-ahead touchdown catch and bomb in Roses. Now they're trying to kick the extra point and go ahead by 1 point. The score is 6-6. I have not seen how reliable York's kick game is. Lancaster going to rush and try and block it. Here we go. The kick is up the middle, and
that is good. 7-6 to the York Centurions.
York take the lead with very little time.
Unbelievable play design there by the York Centurions.
Yeah, it was impressive. As Lewis said, a play action. The idea is to fake the handoff. They had a man motion out. So, as we said, an empty formation. This is deception it's a double cross rate. It's deception on 2 levels. They started with, a heavy passing formation. Nobody's expecting the run. Then they motion a man in towards the quarterback, expect to hand him off, and then they pretend to give it the ball to him, and then throw it to the man who is now left completely unmarked in the end zone. Very, very sneaky. You've got to respect it. Yep. You've got to respect it from York there.
And that's one of the beauties of Roses. You see the best in both teams due to it being late in the season.
Yeah, you got all the time to
Playbooks
practice.
have the most time to open. Coaches feel most comfortable, and the players learn the game as much. So you're able to see a lot higher level of play from both teams than you would in the regular Buck seasons, where games come thick, fast, and often.
Lancaster receiving the ball from a kickoff for the first time this game. Let's see what they can do with it. It's kicked right up the middle, a spinning ball, hard to catch, but it is cradled beautifully by number 89.
Riley.
He's running
and
up the
he's
right,
going.
breaks a tackle,
and he's running.
but stops eventually at the 42-yard line.
Big hit there by number 98, Conor Greenlow. big run there from number 89, Ben Riley, one of the special teams specialists, you could say, of the Lancaster Bombers this year. He kicks field goals, he returns punts, and his primary goal is returning kickoffs, which you've just seen there.
It's a good return, but
Ben
do they have
Riley.
time to get something going before time runs out? You know, the 2-minute warning was not too long ago. So we are going to see this half run out. Lancaster, if they want to score, are going to have to pass the ball and get chunk yards. And we have not seen them do much passing yet in this game, at least not that hasn't been in an interception. So what they need is we're going to see if they can bring out exactly what they need here. Get something explosive going. Their game so far has been short, sharp, reliable runs. We've not seen the explosive pass yet. Let's see if they can bring that out right now.
This is a big press.
Jack Taylor is in the shotgun. He's a few yards back. The snap.
And
Hands
they
it
run
off.
the ball, number 2.
There's a flag.
They run the ball there with number 2, Leon Ellis, the vice president of the club and a personal friend of mine. But
We
there
saw
is a flag there.
when the whistle is blowing before the player's even over, that typically means there's a penalty on the offense. If the player's blown dead, you know the penalty is probably on the offense. If the player is penalty is on defense, then
looks
typically
like
they
a
let
bit
play
of
it
an
out,
injury
so they wouldn't
substitution.
stop it.
By-
Yeah, number 72 coming off the field currently, one of the Lancaster offensive linemen.
That's
And yeah,
70
that penalty will be on Lancaster. Might have been a false start.
That's one of our O tackles, Stephen. I suppose we'll bring in on number 52, Rand Tao, to switch one of our O guards, George Wright, probably, out to O tackle to recover for Stephen's positioning.
Lancaster now have even more yardage after that 5-yard penalty. It must have been either an offside or a false start. But now we're trying to find out how long is left in the half. But Lancaster are going to have to pass the ball now. They tried to run it in that game. Here we go. Jack Taylor drops back to pass. He's got time. He's looking. He throws over the middle off the fingertips of number 84, but it goes incomplete.
There's a minute left of the quarter, so there is time for the Lancaster Bombers to drive this ball down. They just need to get reliable chunk plays and quickly.
The good thing about that incomplete pass is it does at least stop the clock. If that ball was aimed slightly lower down, that might have been a beautiful catch. He jumped up for that ball, but it was not to be. Lancaster going to have to. I think he got him in space. There was a catchable ball there, so they've clearly got something they can do here. Let's see if they can get something going right now.
It's a big drive here.
Who was number 84, Lewis?
Number 84 is Darren, I believe, a first-year wide receiver for the Lancaster Bombers. He's usually starting most
Number
games.
15 in motion. Jack Taylor rolls out to the left. He's
This is
looking
a
for a
big
man, but he
rollout
doesn't
here
have
by
him.
number
He's going to
6.
run, and he's tackled at the down marker. No gain.
Hard 2-yard gain there from
The
Jack
veteran
Taylor.
Connor Greenall.
He's not going to
making a
want them
tackle.
again for 2 yards.
But again, the clock will stop because he gets out of bounds. There's a silver lining, but now they've 3rd down and a long way to go. Frankly, if they can't get anything, if they can't convert very soon, that clock stopping might be more of a disadvantage because it might leave York with a little bit of time to do something.
Lancaster need to manage the clock here.
Yeah, it's a hard balance to strike, and it depends on how confident you are. But
Chasing the game.
This is an aggressive team. They're going to try and do something here. But York now pepped up, fired up. They have the 1-point lead.
York piling
Here we
the...
go. And it's a pass back to Matt Charles. He's running. He's got blockers. Got Jack Taylor blocking for him. He's not got the yardage, but he's gained a few. Tackled inbounds.
It's one of those trade-off plays where you need the yards. However, the play may not get the first down. However,
that was a more conservative play there. And it was a less aggressive play. I think what they were doing there is Coach Rosie, the offensive coordinator, anticipating maybe not making that conversion and wanting to run the clock out so that when York get the ball back, they don't have much time to do anything with. That's probably what's happening there. Otherwise, I can't see why you'd run the ball there. Interesting play design, having the quarterback block for the fullback. It's not something you typically see, but it's a creative team. Both teams pulling out some creative stuff today. Definitely tune back in for the second half if you are leaving. But don't leave because Lewis is going to be interviewing some people in the meantime.
Yep.
But if you are deciding to come back at halftime, you're going to see some fiery stuff, some creative stuff. There's going to be some adjustments. And it's all to play for. It's a 1-point game. It's practically even.
This is a big game, big second half, and second halves win Roses matches this season. On a Roses weekend that is in the balance, Lancaster currently in the lead, I believe, on points. However, all to play for.
Let's think about the competition as a whole. Oh, and that is halftime.
We are at halftime.
The competition as a whole, you go for it in a second. I'm just going to finish off. The competition as a whole, York as well have not won a Roses since before COVID. So, on their home turf here, they're really need to get something going for the sake of their own pride, if nothing else. I'm going to hand over to my co-commentator, who's going to do some sideline interviews.
Yep.
I'll be right back with you before half-time.
Okay,
Thank
we are
you very
going to do
much.
some sideline interviews. So let me just run around a little bit and try find some people to do some interviews with. Okay. So we're going to start with. God, I don't really know how to do this. We're going to start with a fan, one of my close friends, Jack Dunn, and he is currently on a placement year. He played last year, and he's got some comments on the game. So, Jack, how do you think the first half went?
I think it's been going well. I think both teams have been playing a pretty good game. I think Lancaster's run game has been spot on.
Yeah.
And I think York's passing game has been also spot on. I think they're the two aspects where the game has really shone, to be quite honest.
Really opened up,
Yeah.
What do you think about the Lancaster Bombers' offense and that first pick? How do you think, and that first play, which was a big first play with that pick, how do you think they've recovered and turned out around?
That's a good point, Lewis. I mean, I think that the confidence was probably hit quite a lot from Jax. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis, I think it's Jax's first game starting.
Yep.
It's the first Roses starting, sorry.
Sorry, Jack, we're going to have to interrupt you. Let me finish your point.
Well, I think that he carried on well, and I think as long as he keeps on getting those passes out there, the confidence is only going to rise, and he's been making some good plays. So, yeah, thank you very much, Lewis.
Well, thank you very much, Jack. That was Jack Dunn, one of our placement years and wide receiver. You will see him next year at the Roses, I'm sure. We are now here with our defensive coordinator, Swimmers.
Hello, Lewis.
How would you think the first half went from a defensive point of view for the Lancaster Bombers? Obviously, York showing a lot of different stuff than maybe you were originally planning. How do you think it went?
No, most of it we were expecting. They've obviously had some success. I mean, they've got some really tall guys that are causing us some issues, so I'm going to sort that out at half-time, hopefully. But, no, not too much that we weren't expecting. The guys are doing well physically. We're fairly happy, but a couple of things to address, definitely.
How do you think you could change with that touchdown? That touchdown was obviously a play that I called out that looked very creative and different. How do you think that went, and how do you think the Lancaster Bombers defense played?
Yeah, it was one of probably the only time in that half that I can remember that the QB rolled out. D-end didn't necessarily do his job there, so we didn't get the look that we wanted, and the DBs all bit up, and then the wide receiver was just sat at the back of the end zone unopposed.
Yep.
So that's not ideal from us from a scheme point of view. We had talked about rollouts and all that sort of stuff, so that's one thing I'm going to go through on the board now and tighten up.
Are we on the camera? Okay, lovely. So we're on the camera now. Last question. I know you're obviously not an offensive coach, but from an offensive position from the Lancaster Bombers, how do you think the changes needed could be implemented in the halftime to go on and win and score the ball more reliably?
Well, they're certainly moving the ball. Number 23 has been an issue in the first half.
Yep.
Not sure where he's come from, but he looks handy. So blocking him is probably job one. He's been flying around and making plays when I've been watching. I've not seen a whole lot of it. But they're moving the ball. Hopefully we can get some of the passes slightly. They're close, but they haven't been quite on target. So hopefully we can sort that out as well.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, Swimmers. I'm now going to interview.
Thank you.
Theo, you get an interview. Oh, wow. This is one of my flatmates and linebacker number 27, Theodore Pritchard. How do you think the first half went then from a linebacker and defensive perspective?
I think we played really well. Obviously, we let up that one score, but I think that's fine. We're ready for the second half. We're going to show it to them. It's gone really well.
Yeah.
There's always room to improve.
Okay, how from an offensive position, I know obviously you don't play the offensive position, but from a Lancaster perspective, how do you reckon we can move the ball more reliably and score on more of these big drives that we're going on from our offensive position?
I think we have some good receivers that we haven't used enough, and I think we utilise them. It'll go very well. We just get that pass game going, and we'll get a good score.
Okay, and score predictions for the end of the game. I know you're a bit biased, but...
We'll go 13-7.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Theodore Pritchard,
welcome.
and
Thank
best
you.
of luck for the second half. We are now joined by VP for Sports and Activities at Lancaster University, Jack Watson. Jack, how do you think the first half went? By the way, very well played.
Thank you. It's very, very, very hot.
Yes, as you can see.
Everyone's kind of needing water, and that first long drive that they had was tough, but we kind of like held it out, and
Yeah.
the old bend don't break.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing okay. There's obviously that like late pick-off that they had at the back down here.
Yeah.
But our DBs are just going to have to pull their socks up a little bit and go for it, I think. So.
This guy's the GOAT.
Yeah, that is not factual information, but I would say it is.
Hello, Mr. Watson. How are we doing?
I'm okay.
Now, for the touchdown, what do you think you maybe could have done better from a defensive perspective?
I think it's just our man coverage on that backside. They like to sort of fill one half of the field and then send another guy off to the back where we're just distracted. You did, or you need to?
Yeah.
Need to.
Well, the man coverage would be, when I've talked about that tall guy targeting the smaller guy on that one-on-one coverage. One-on-one coverage essentially leads to man coverage, where it's one-on-one, it's a mano-v-mano situation, and York have liked to target that with the height mismatch they've got from their one-on-one situations.
So yeah, we'll see what we can do. See if the second half sort of goes on. We need to get some chances for our offense, so get them on the field. See what they can do.
And on the York conversation, is there anything from the York offense that has surprised you? They've done better than you maybe expected?
Yeah, they've come out in a couple of formations that we're not really sort of seeing on film.
Yeah.
We get quite a good opportunity to sort of see. I mean, obviously the last game we played was against them, so we kind of looked through their playbook that we saw and that. So there's a couple of new things there, but I think generally it's kind of a good game so far. It's pretty even. Obviously,
it's been a very good game, very defensively focused compared to last year. I'm sure it was like 20,
it's quite
20
high
20
scoring.
last
It's
year.
quite high scoring.
So maybe not the most entertaining fan if you're not a fan of defensive football, but we're here for a big second half, and stay tuned for a big second half of Rose's action.
I'm going to go and take some layers off.
Well, thank you very much, Jack. We will see you later. I don't really know who to interview now. We are going to get our co-commentator to go find. Just to let you know what it's like pitch side at the minute, both teams currently warming up. Well, when I say warming up, the York Centurions are currently strolling around the field, which is very nice of them, and the Lancaster Bombers are sat in the shade at the other side of the end zone, which is a bit odd. It's not a strategy I've usually seen. So what we're going to do at the minute is we're going to come down to, and we're going to get our third commentator, Jack Dunn, our first interviewer again. He's coming back on to just say a couple of things about what he sees.
Only for a bit.
So, Jack Dunn, obviously, as the impartial man you are, what would you see the York Centurions doing to maybe score the ball more on a very stout run defence of the Lancaster Bombers?
Are you asking me how would York score more?
Yeah. A situation of how would York, York's coaches, York's quarterback, look to progress the game more.
A bit more. Yeah, I think they need to be more confident with their passing, because they've definitely got the ability to, and I think they know that. Utilising their larger players and the space on the outside.
Yeah.
I think Lancaster's defence is so good in the middle, in the D-line and the linebackers, that they need to really utilise the space outside, where, unfortunately, we might be lacking a bit in size and, I don't know.
Aggression, maybe? Aggression is one of the words I'd say. They've got a lot of aggression, however, sometimes the size may not match the aggression.
Yes.
And that could be obviously exploited. Now, we're going to take it back to the Lancaster Bombers scoring drive. Obviously, it ended up in a 1 yard QB sneak. Number 6. An overall good drive from the Lancaster Bombers. And how could you see the Lancaster Bombers offense maybe coming out next half and looking to implement more of what you saw in that drive?
I think they should change up. I think obviously they need to do more of what they're doing, but York aren't stupid. They're going to know how to start kind of stumping the run games from our running backs, Camille and Matt Charles, who have been making pretty much all the yards.
That's a roundabout truth, to be honest.
I think Lancaster need to come out strong, come out with a few passing plays, get that confidence up from our QB, who can then start to kind of open himself up a bit more and be more confident in making, decisions of where to kind of open up the field, because I think we really can use, because we've got fast players, we've got good ability in the team, and I think we need to use that more.
One thing I would obviously say is that we need to pass the ball more reliably. I mean, I don't think we've had a completion. You're on camera. we haven't had a completion yet. And Jax Taylor, the quarterback number 6, there's been some question marks sometimes over his passing game over the thing. He's a very great leader, great man, He's a good runner of the football, and he leads and commands the offense
Yes.
well. However, he needs to be more consistent in his passing game, establish it early, because the York defense, as the game goes on, if it was a situation of number 23 Camille Ziatara and number 8 Matt Charles only being the ones to generate offense,
Well, exactly.
are going to commit more players to the game.
Yeah.
And that could open.
I agree. I think at the end of the day, this is a very hot day. They're going to be tired. They're going to be sweaty. They're not going to be able to kind of put all they have in this next half. I think they're going to struggle if it's just going to rely on them. I know Jax personally, and I know him as a QB, and I think he's a really good asset to the team. All right, I'm going to hand it over back to our main commentator, and I will leave that in the hands of his.
Thank you very much there from Jack Dunn. 2 interviews and an overall unbelievable performance on commentary. What a man. And you will see him next year in Roses, hopefully for a generational performance to bring it home.
Or this man if he does a Panic Masters.
Well, maybe not. That's not looking very likely at the minute.
Move the crate of beers out of the way of the shop.
Yeah, it is a student event.
Yeah,
The beers are going, and we're having a great time. Hello, Sam.
Right. Okay. Are we? Yep. Okay. So, to recap, the score is Lancaster Bombers 6, York Centurions 7.
Yep.
An early drive from the York Centurions, threatening, but not ultimately managing to get anything on the scoreboard. Lancaster immediately throw interception. York, then again, not able to get anything going. After which Lancaster answered with a long, grinding drive, leaning on their 2 running backs, Matt Charles and Camille Ziatara. Both veterans, especially Camille. Camille's got some experience in the Australian League, I believe, on his year abroad.
Yeah, Australian League. He played for a team in Canberra.
In Canberra, yeah. I have to get the name of a team from him. So are we? Okay, no worries. Don't worry. But yeah, after which, York Centurions started to lean more on their passing game, which has been the more effective thing for them today. And marched the ball down the field. Looked pretty close to being to it sputtering out a couple times. But ultimately got the big splash plays to get them into the end zone, culminating of a very, very flashy play action. I don't even know what the full terminology for that. They motioned a receiver in from empty, play action, and then a throw to the unprotected receiver or the unguarded receiver in the end zone for the touchdown.
I think from a Lancaster Bombers defensive performance and perspective, Coach Swimmer's saying that one of the biggest problems has been this kind of single-side man coverage, tall man versus small man DB kind of mismatch that the York aiming for. And he said specifically that he's looking to make in-game kind of changes and tweaks to the scheme. And that could be big. If that comes off, that's a large element of the York's pass game that would have gone missing. And I think that is a huge key element to fixing the defense and the pass defense of the
It is difficult when you just don't have necessarily personnel with a physical mismatch, because it's hard to scheme around that, or especially man coverage, because man coverage, if you're not understanding what that is, essentially you can cover space, which is zone coverage, or you can cover man to man, assign a person to cover a single person. And in man coverage, it's you and that guy. It's a one-on-one matchup, and if he's got a physical advantage, especially height and speed, then it's tough to get over that. It's tough to scheme around that or attitude your way around that. You just have to have incredible agility to not get beat. Yeah. So I think as long as until they're like 2 or 3 scores down, York are never out of this. Whereas Lancaster, they need to keep it. I think they've got less explosive potential. They need to keep it close.
I'll 100% agree with that. That one of the big problems this year with the Lancaster Bombers offense has been an unreliable form of almost when they're chasing the game late in games because of the lack of pass game elements and comparatively to the run game. It's been very hard for them to chase games. So expect Lancaster to come out firing with the ball. Their offense will receive the ball early on. It will be the first drive, will be a Lancaster offense. Expect big plays and big drive from the Lancaster Bombers.
Let's talk a little bit about the season these two teams have had in the Bucks leagues, which is the just standard university competitions. Lancaster, it's been a disappointing one for them. I mean, Lewis, you've been on the team playing for them this year. I mean, So me and my experience with this team, I started in 2019. Had the end of my first season and my entire second season ruined by COVID. And then, so I only played Roses in 2022. In my third year, where we played a full season, it was a 4-win and 3-loss season where we ultimately failed to make playoffs, losing to our rivals in Preston, UClan. That was a frustrating game, I can tell you. So when we came to Roses, it was just like this needs to happen. We need to get something out of this.
Yep.
The year after that, the Bombers division got a bit more complicated. They had York in the division. They had about 8 teams in the division. That was I think a building year. A lot of new players on the team, including yourself.
Yeah, it was a big year, and we obviously that year was capped off by our playoffs hopes being ended by the York Centurions on this very pitch around three and a bit years ago. And obviously we came into Roses with a full set of steam after that game and looked to avenge it, and we did.
It's been the way. This is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the regular season and playoff success of these two teams, you have to say the York Centurions have been the more successful team. 2 years ago, they ended as you were saying, they ended the Lancaster Bombers' hopes of playoffs. This year, they knocked them out of the first round of playoffs. The year before, so the intervening 2 years, the 2024 Roses and 2023-2024 season.
Yeah.
So your second year.
Yeah.
That year was the first year that Lancaster Bombers made playoffs in, I think, living memory. I don't even know when the last time that happened was.
It was the first time for 30 years, I believe.
Yeah.
And we came up against an incredible Derby team, an undefeated Derby team that season, Derby Braves. And
knocked out.
Although we put up a good fight,
Yeah.
I'm sure the score ended like 22,
25, I think, 25 nothing.
25 nothing.
It was
or something
it was a
along
bit of a
those lines.
mismatch, but and then the year after, again, the Lancaster division got a bit easier with the over the last 2 years with first the exit of the Liverpool Raptors and then the exit of the UClan Rams.
Yeah.
The division this year, I think there was a lot of hope at the start of the year for Lancaster that they would be promoted to be winning that division.
There was almost an expectation at the start of the season that we were going to push on and go on to kind of match the UClan, the Liverpool Raptors level of kind of getting to Div 1. We believe that we've got the talent, the coaching and the systems around us to be a Division 1 team. However, on the pitch, 2 big key losses to the Edge Hill Vikings put our seasons back massively. There was a huge game in February away at the Edge Hill Vikings that we unfortunately lost in a very, very close game. I believe it was around 12-6 or something along them scorelines. So it was a very tight game, heartbreaking loss. But we still entered the playoffs with a lot of promise. We believed that we were going to go. It was at our home turf against York, where York unfortunately did beat us.
But it was a back and forth game.
It was a
close.
very back and forth
Much
game.
like, I think it's been very, very, very similar in terms of the momentum swings and the mentality.
You've seen a lot of similarities between the game, but also a big element is a lot of more refined play by both teams.
Both
offenses Both offenses
mistakes.
are looking a bit more refined. They're opening their playbook deeper. They've got more intriguing plays. And the York Centurions hope to ride that wave of that victory and win their first Roses in 4 years.
It's not just the thing is, you have to think about this in terms of the post-COVID era, because the York Centurions and York, as in like the entire University of York sports in Roses, they have not won this competition since before COVID. So that was the 2019 Roses. That was that was what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, and you think
6 years ago? That's a long damn time.
The university,
so they really, now they're home again. This is the fixture where they would be expected to have the advantage. They really need to get something going here, and the pressure is massive on a long-term level for the Centurions and as a wider thing, the entire York Sport team. So to get something going here. Okay. My co-commentators left me, so I'm going to struggle through and try and think of some stuff to say. York Centurions and the Lancaster Bombers simultaneously returning to their sidelines, to their coaches. I imagine right now they're going to be looking at scheme. They're going to be looking at what they need to do. The coaches will have had some time to think through what's been going on and cook up some recipes. Of course, at half-time, you don't have a huge amount of time to adjust, but you have all that time from before this game where you've been prepping long and hard and learning what the other team's players are and learning their capabilities. And now, all of a sudden, you have only a brief moment of time to do that, only a brief 15, 20-minute spell. But we're about to get underway both teams collecting their helmets, collecting their gear, preparing to enter the field again once more. It's I think yeah, the weather today is lovely, but it's not one of the hottest ones we've seen. There's been some Roses matchups where the weather has been absolutely baking, and having played adult ball, in British American football in the summer, the university leagues typically run in winter through to spring. The adult leagues run from spring through to the end of summer, and playing in the heat, especially in the most physical positions, the Lions, is incredibly exhausting. Maintaining endurance and keeping the energy levels up throughout this game is going to be a huge factor, especially by the time we reach the fourth quarter, and the heat will not help that. So yeah, endurance is another factor in this game, which you might not expect. You might not think about immediately. That's another thing. Which is the better conditioned team? As Lancaster take the field to receive the kick, they are about. Oh, Matt Charles last minute entering the field. Lancaster now have their 11 men on. York about to kick it away for the second time this game. Let's see what they can do. It looks like... Who's the kicker? I'm trying to... my hands are full, so I can't check his name just yet, but I will look later for you, York friends and family out there. The score, York Centurions 7, Lancaster Bombers 6. It looks like the York coach is running across the field to talk to the ref. We're being delayed a little bit here. Something I believe his name is Coach Tom Prosser. He's been with the York Centurions for a good while, much like many of the Lancaster coaches. Lewis, you're back. Good to see you.
Welcome back. This is going to be a big second half. York obviously kicking first and giving the Lancaster Bombers the ball.
The ball is away. Lancaster take the ball. They've got blockers, but they're running. It looks like they've not got a lot of space, and they're down about the 41-yard line. Not a bad return.
Ben Riley there, number 89. He loves the special teams return. He was searching for that ball, run right out of his gap, grabbed it, and ran for about 10 yards. A bit more conservative, but
the ball didn't go too far, and they carried it a good extra few yards. So they've got a good return out of that. And now Lancaster, well, they need to know. Yeah, I mean they can go back to that now. Without the time pressure, they can go back to their ground and pound running offense. But have York prepared for that? They've got some bruisers. They've got some guys like Connor Greenall. Archie Baines, hard-hitting guys. They've they've been a bit out-muscled, or a bit at least like mentality-wise out-hit a little bit throughout this game. But they've had the rest, they've had the time to come back into it.
This is a big drive for Lancaster Bombers O-line really to assert their dominance up front, assert that ground game, and with a big O-line win, then I can see a big score here.
It's handed off up the middle. I believe that's Camille. He gets a few yards, but not a huge amount. About 3 or 4 yards there. Typical sort of expecting thing. Lancaster not to do the same thing they did last time, tossing the ball straight up, learning from that mistake. They're going to settle in their quarterback. We've yet to see what Jack Taylor can really do. He's been around for a good while. He's had some injury struggles in his career, but he's fought through them. He's had some success. He's had some moments. He's a beloved player on this team. He's got character. He's got attitude. Let's see what he can do. The ball is always a low snap, and he just falls on it. Plays it safe.
There. It was very smart there from number 6, Jack Taylor, to drop on it. He could have
picked
picked
up
up
7
and
or 8 yards there. Very, very annoying play for the Bombers there. The centre snapped it a little bit low. And this is the thing as an O-lineman. It's tough life because everyone notices when you screw up. They don't notice when you do really well, necessarily.
Smart play, though. Offense often say, do not make a bad play worse. And that is exactly what Jack Taylor's done there. It's
also his safety, with his history of injuries in his knee. If you pick that ball up and don't see a big York player, especially number 98, come in and crush you, you protect yourself in that way. He drops back to pass as a flag. I believe that's a false start. I saw someone move.
I believe that was a false start.
Things getting a little bit worse for Lancaster.
68 there, potentially, on the offensive line. He has not won.
This drive going south for Lancaster very, very quickly, as they have a third and very long now. False start penalties do not waste a down, but they do set you back 5 yards. So
expect a big pass here, third and around 15 from the Lancaster.
Well, do they?
Bombers.
I mean, we've not seen that capacity from Lancaster in this game so far. What Rosie might do is run the ball, play it safe, get a few more yards, and then punt. If he's feeling conservative, and if he wants to be bold, he might throw it up. But the impact of a pick here would be, of an interception, would be terrible. They cannot afford that.
It's a big play.
Let's see what they do. York making plenty of noise on the sideline. The ball is snapped. He drops back to pass. He fires over the middle. Oh, it's batted away by number 32. I'm going to find the
Really
name.
good play from 32. He's seen him there, man up on the tight end. Number 15, Dan Moran, was the option. He went round, tried to curve round into a little post up the middle, but it was very well split up by the man coverage of York Centurions. Very good defensive play, and now you see the Lancaster Bombers come out to punt.
It's number
and give the ball
32,
back.
Johnny Walters. It looks like he's in his 4th year. I believe I've heard the name before.
I've heard big
Inside
things about
linebacker.
him,
Second Roses only, but 4th year of play. Yeah, very nice play. Very nice play.
Very good play from him overall. That's a very, very, very good drive from the York Centurions defense.
Got out big. Move the Bombers back. If
Move the
anything.
Bombers back about 8 yards, and that puts a lot of pressure on the
Statement
defense
drive
to
as the
come on
ball
now.
is punted away. Again, a bit high. I think the York punts have been a little bit better. It bounces in bounds. The ball, you know, it's a penalty if you kick the ball on it and you punt the ball and it goes out of bounds without hitting the ground inbounds
Yeah,
first.
that's around.
But it comes in. It bounces.
That's around a 25-yard punt from the Lancaster Bombers. Puts the York Centurions around the 40-yard line. Still got a lot of room to go, but the way they were moving the ball near at the end of the second half, you expect a lot from this offense.
It's a little bit. It must be quite short on staff because we've got one of the York coach. I'm not sure if it is. I think it's Tom Prosser, but I thought he was the head coach. He's on the sideline doing being chain crew.
Wow.
Maybe I'm wrong. You know, I mean, of course,
I don't think
if
that
we
is.
did, if we did have a, oh, is he over there? I don't. See, if we did have a York commentator, that would be nice,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
it would be. It would have been
But
lovely.
due to unforeseen circumstances, that is not the case. So,
You are unfortunately stuck
Anyway.
with us sometimes.
anyway,
This is a big, big drive from the York Centurions. A big defensive drive here from the Lancaster Bombers. If they can stop them, get the ball back in the hands of the offense, and
yet Lancaster
Hopefully,
really need a statement drive here. We've got a man in motion. The ball is handed
That's
off
a
up the
run
middle.
in the middle.
He's got good blocking from the O-line.
Another
But Jack
tackle
Watson, he
from
is just
Jack.
unstoppable. Let's talk about the Prez a bit. He was on your interviews with you. I'm not
Oh,
sure how
yeah.
much you talked about his history, but he's
No,
been here
not much.
since the same time I joined in 2019. Both of us started at linebacker in pre-season, but then quickly moved to the line as bodies were needed. And he's been, he's just been one of the most reliable guys. He was president of the team for 2 years. He's been a captain. He's been a star. He's played adult ball for the Chester Romans. And he's been the sport SU out. Fanthorpe throws, and it's knocked away.
blocked!
Number
22, James O'Connor with a big stop there. A linebacker who's been moved out to a more DB-specific position for Roses, and he's made them pay there with an unbelievable back down.
Looks like another screen pass there, but it was read perfectly. Miguel got in there and batted it away. As I was saying, Jack Watson the last 2 years has been a key person in the Lancaster Sports Union, which has allowed him to keep playing for the Bombers despite graduating.
Some
So,
may say, when will he ever give up?
when will he ever get? Probably this is his last time.
This
So
is
that
probably-
it means more to him. He's going to give his all for this game, and we're going to see that right now. 3rd and 5, or 3rd and 6.
It's
Drops
a
back
big
to
pass.
Fires.
Pressure's
It's
on.
hit. And
Big
intercepted by Jack
Jack
Watson.
What a
Intercepted.
play!
It was tipped twice.
We were talking
You see a
about
flag.
the man, and the man delivers on the biggest stage of them all. Jack Watson,
Oh.
there is a flag on the play. There's a flag. Oh, my.
Oh, if that gets wiped off, it'll be incredibly sad. But the ball was tipped twice. The pressure up the middle. Fanthorpe held the ball a little bit too long there before he fired.
You saw that
and then
there,
it fell
the-
into the hands of Jack Watson.
You saw the D-line there of the Lancaster Bombers, one of the best units in the team. Really cave in the pressure, cave in the pocket of the Lancaster, of the
And
York
the
Centurions.
penalty was a face cage on the York Centurions. It will be declined, and Lancaster get the ball. That's exactly the sort of play they needed to bring things back.
And
to
that's
bring
what
momentum.
Roses is all about sometimes. Sometimes your best players have to make the biggest plays when they matter most.
And he
there
probably
is
is
no
final
bigger play.
Roses.
And Jack
He is-
Watson there in his final Roses, the
And
six-year
to be
veteran.
honest, he didn't make that play. It was the people who tipped the ball, the defensive lineman, but it fell right into his hands. Nothing better than a bit more Roses glory for an absolute Lancaster Bombers legend there.
Used to be obviously on the D-line, now being moved back to middle linebacker to read the game a bit more, use his
He's
experience.
played linebacker, he's played offensive line,
Yeah,
obviously defensive line. He's played a lot, and he uses his size, uses his skills, level-headedness to do damage.
And this is obviously a huge drive from the Lancaster Bombers. They've got the ball in quite
Camille
good
takes the
spills
ball.
play.
He
Camille.
runs left and into the York defenders. A solid gain, but Lancaster siren is clapping. About 8 yards. A very good gain on 1st down from Camille. Looked like he just fought through contact there. Again, this difference in physicality is, especially Lancaster targeting the smaller players on the edges. York doing the same thing, but with the pass. York targeting the smaller cornerbacks in man coverage, whilst Lancaster attacking these smaller players on the side with outside runs.
Once again, you see from the Bombers' offense a tendency to want to get their star players, their star running backs, their biggest ball handlers into space against the smaller guys, and that's an unbelievable yards after contact play from number 23, Camille Ziatara.
Jack Taylor calls for the snap. He hands it off to Camille again. He's going right this time. He's got gaps. He's got great blocking, and powers into a player.
Picks up
gets
the
conversion.
first down. And that is a big first down. Lancaster Bombers now in the red zone for the second time in the game. The first time ended up in a QB sneak on the 1 yard line by Jax Taylor. Can they make them pay again?
Finally pushing forwards. Finally Lancaster offense getting something going in this second half. That first drive was not inspiring, but now they've got the momentum. They're emboldened by their defense's efforts as the defense breaks it down on the sideline.
You can see now why such a big pick for number 74, Jack Watson, can change the momentum. And this is a big first down.
It's handed off again. Matt Charles to the left. He's in space.
And he's gone.
No, he's not gone, but he does make a good solid gain there. The York Centurions tacklers going nice and low to chop him down. There's been some good tackling in this game, I would say. It's not been really in comparison to, I think this important thing to note is that the Roses American football matchups tend to be higher quality than any of the other Division II matchups. Just to explain the levels in this sport for university. There's the National League, the top 5 teams in the country. Then there's the Prem, where all the other best teams compete. Then there's Division 1, and then there's Division 2, where both of these teams compete. It's the lowest level, but with so much time to train, as the ball is handed off and run right
Camille
back.
Ziatara.
He's got space.
He's gone.
He's running to the end zone.
Touchdown, Lancaster. Camille Ziatara, number 23, one of the big plays. He made the big play on that first down to get them 8 yards for the yards after contact, and he is rewarded by punching it in off the 2 yard line. Brilliant play from Lancaster, and what a start to their second half.
The Centurions unable to stop the run game from Lancaster on this drive. And the score is now York 7, Lancaster 12. They are now presumably going to go for the 2-point conversion. They have one more attempt to get it into the end zone from 2 yards out. One attempt. And if they get it in, they get 2 points to get a full 7-point lead. Here we go.
2-point down here.
It's tossed.
To their
tight
end, number 15, Dan Moran.
Lancaster cheering.
And he's in!
2-point conversion.
He's in!
Lancaster 14, York Centurions 7.
That's a big.
Sorry, no, am I?
14-7 to the Lancaster Bombers.
No. Yeah. Yes. A little loss of confidence there.
You
but no, I
cannot
was right.
understate the value of that 2-point conversion. Otherwise, it would have been 12-7. That means if the York Centurions scored again, then it would be above a tied game. If the York Centurions score again and convert, it would be a tie game.
Yeah, these little conversions, you might not feel like they mean the world, but they really add up, especially in a tight game like this where it's back and forth. I have no doubt that York are not done and dusted. As I said earlier at the start of the half, the Centurions have the greater potential for just splash plays at any moment. To beat with their aggressive passing attack. They have the greater potential to score at a moment's notice. So they are nothing. They are far from down and out.
Camille Ziatara, number 23. He was the Roses offensive MVP and scored in our last game at York in 2023. Took a year out to go play in Australia and study, obviously, in Canberra. And that was a big offensive drive. He put the team on his back, scored. And that's more like
he's got the monkey off his back from his fumble in the previous game now. The ball is kicked off by Lancaster, caught by the York returner. He's under pressure. The blocks are not forming, and he is brought down at the 30.
Number 27, Theodore Pritchard, bulldozed the man on the way and smashed the man down. That is more like it from the special teams unit, and that's a big play to set up a big drive for the York Centurions.
I really don't think that was the fault of the returner. This blocking just did not materialise there. The Lancaster guys came out with some force, with some fervour, destroying blocks and moving in for the tackle. Here we go. Lancaster now eager to shut down the Centurions on offense again. Centurions need to get something going.
Now, this is a big drive for the York Centurions. You rely more on that pass game that worked more.
His players last minute. The ball is snapped, handed off, up the middle. No, it's a keeper.
Sacked!
Brought down in the end. in the backfield.
97, Rayhan Alinya lights up the quarterback for a big sack, and there is no one happier in this city than number 97.
York attempts some trickery. Rayhan Alinya does not care. Brings the man down regardless. Hit his eyes on the ball the whole time. And now the mood has firmly shifted for the time being to the Lancaster Bombers.
A sack not only drives them back the yards, it lost the York Centurions about 6 yards, but it provides a massive mental load on the quarterback, knowing that a man like 97 Rayhan Alinya is coming after you on every play.
Lancaster sets up to attack. The ball is kept.
Fake the
There's
run.
a throw. Oh, but nothing there. The pressure is relentless. It's not giving Fanthorpe time to look for his receivers and get them in space.
See, that was
time
good.
is everything, you know, in the passing game. Well, not everything, but if you want to throw deep, if you want to get big gains rather than just, well, you can get big gains from short passes, but if you want to fire over the top, create big passes.
From an
you need
analytical,
time.
defensive analytical perspective, it seems that Coach Swimmers has changed the actual pass scheme we're running, and we're running more of a 4 deep kind of pass coverage now against the York Centurions. And Tom Fanthorpe looks a little bit shaky looking at it early on, and we'll see how it continues over the quarter. He's running.
He tosses it up, but it's knocked down. That seemed risky to me.
That was a
Fanthorpe was scrambling. He was under pressure, and then he just sort of threw it up with one hand. If that had been intercepted, but it didn't. Regardless,
I'm obliged to say it, but that looked a little Mahomey.
I'm not going to explain that. You either get it or you don't. Anyway, the Centurions will now punt the ball away. Number 15 with the white helmet lining up to punt the ball away. I'll find his name for the sake of due diligence.
Yeah, this is a big punt. Big, deep in your territory. The York offensive players get the ball back. This is a big punt. Number 15 going to punt it. The snap is low. He gets the punt away. Lot high. Watch for the heads of that. And that will be stopped around the 40 yards. This is a big, big offensive drive for the Lancaster Bombers.
It was Will
big
Swales,
drive.
backup quarterback and punter. I don't think it was really his fault. The snap came low. And long snapping, as a former long snapper myself, it's a hard job. You know, that's the guy who has this, you know, on a punt or on a field goal attempt. It's the man who has to grab the ball at the start of the play and launch it 15 yards back to the punter. It's a hard job to be that consistent and accurate. But it came low there, and Swales did not have much time to get the ball off. It resulted in it going very high, which means much like many of the Lancaster punt attempts. They've not set Lancaster back much. They have it at the 50.
You're seeing
50 yards to go. It's handed off to Camille Ziatara.
No, number 2, Leon Ellis there. That was a very nasty tackle. The man is made of strong stuff. He will get up from bigger things than that. But number 2, Leon Ellis, a little swap in with Camille Ziatara, number 23.
That's the advantage of playing adult ball, playing with other people who aren't just of a university age, you know, his experience in Australia, is that because of the size of those people, are fully grown adults, you learn to take harder knocks, you get used to that. And Camille having that experience,
a -2,
he's not going to get knocked over.
-2 tackle for loss from York sets up a 2nd and 12. It's a big drive here.
Two in for Lancaster lead blocking.
Tight end drive, number 89, Ben Riley. He's fighting for it. He keeps going.
The blocking. Well, I'm sure the lead blocking up ahead was good, but the York Centurions they got some guys in from the outside who weren't fooled by the play, got into the backfield. It was a good fight from the ball carrier there, but ultimately unable to break free. A good play from the York defense, very, very good.
Yeah, very astute defense there. You saw number 98 dominating his side. He likes to do that, get very vertical and lateral out to them outside runs that the Lancaster Bombers offense likes to do.
Lancaster now for 3rd and long, which is exactly where they don't want to be, having to make a big gain in one play.
This could be a big play.
Calls for the snap. He drops back to pass. Fires to the right. A man was open, but pass.
Still yet to have a reception, and you can see the frustration on number 6 at Jax Taylor's face as they come off and ready to punt the ball again.
It's disappointing. I think I think number 84 was if he let him on, threw the ball deep, it's probably clear there for the touchdown. The ball was quite short, but you know, they've not had. I think Jax Taylor, he's not had much time to get into the pass game really. The run game has started. And that means he's not had much time to get into his groove. You know, typically if you're trying to get your quarterback, you know, in his rhythm, with the passing game, you need to run a lot of short passes, and they've been asking him to throw deep more than anything on third down when the other team knows that he's going to be passing. The punt is again low. Snap, sorry. The punter has to run for it. He's dashing. He's doing a good job, but ultimately brought down in the backfield. The punt will not come off. The snap, much like York Centurion snap, is low, even lower, and bobbled by the punter.
I'd like to say
unable to get it off.
I'd expect number 15 after breaking the first 2 tackles to punt it there. Probably a mistake. When the blood rushes to the head in situations like that, where it's a bit more flight and flight, decisions can be made on the fly. But I'd have liked to have seen him punt it.
Didn't have time. Like he had to, you know, the ball was on the ground. Didn't have time to get the kick off.
Definitely not initially.
So, and I think he did very good given the circumstances.
Well, York get the ball in more favourable field position than they would expect with the punt. It's a big and a huge tackle there. Number 9. It's a D-line fest in the middle. Number 97, Rayhan Alinya, all over for York's running game.
I think you have to shout out the Lancaster defensive line. There's only 3 of them on the field. A more common thing is 4 defensive linemen on the field at one time. You can see anywhere from between 5 and 3 at any one time, but you know they're running a 3-man defensive line, which gives you more guys in the downfield, more linebackers and defensive backs. Gives you more versatility, but you know typically that means you've got less meat up front. But regardless,
very good play to
the
stuff
Lancaster defense has been.
You're seeing empty here, expect pass.
He's
Tom
dropping back,
Fanthorpe,
he fires,
it's a screen play to
caught.
number 12, and he's brought down. It's a good gain, around 7 yards there for number 12. I believe his surname is Ellis, but we will not.
He isn't surname, but you'll have to deal with that. I'm not getting out the thing again. You got the team sheet.
Unfortunately, I do have a list of names that I just remember I had. That will be Brendan Ellis.
Brendan Ellis, of course. I've heard that name before.
Number 12.
I've heard that name before. Very good. Like you know that could have been tackled for no loss, but he managed to break free. Showing a bit
and they're in empty again. Expect another pass.
Back to pass. He
presses
in,
and it's incomplete. Potential for a flag there, but there is not one. Number 25, Sam McDonald, one of the cornerstones of the defensive back rooms this year, showing why he is on the field. Big play there on third down.
Nice play. So Lancaster quickly forced Centurions into a 4th down situation, but looks like they're going to stay on the field and go for it. They've only got 6 yards to go, 5 yards to go. If they convert this, it's big. It's a big momentum swing. He drops back to pass. He's got nobody. Oh, the pressure was right in his face.
You see that there?
In his face. He had no time, and he threw it out wide. That's that 4th turnover on downs. You only get 4 attempts. And now Lancaster take over from midfield.
Number 8 there, Tom Fanthorpe wanted to hit number 11, Ethan Francis, on one of their screen plays. However, the pressure up front from Rayhan Alinya, number 98, was monstrous, scared the quarterback into throwing quite an overpass and giving the ball back to the Lancaster Bombers offense. Let's see what they can do on this big drive.
I can continually wowed by the Lancaster D-line's ability to make pressure with only 3 guys. You're coming up against 5 big offensive linemen, and he managed to make pressure irregardless. It's very impressive. They're winning it for this Lancaster defense right now. They're giving them the flexibility to win. The ball is snapped, handed off, and run up the middle, but stuffed.
That's an unbelievable play there from number 98, Conor Greenlow. As a DN myself, I know that it's very hard to two-gap a situation, hit and read the play, and he's done that exactly.
He's definitely carrying.
The tackle there, the offensive tackle he's read is going into his gap on the inside. He's abandoned the man and made the tackle. Unbelievable play there from number 98, Conor Greenlow.
Excellent play. Now Lancaster looking to set the tone. We've had a lot of back and forth. You know, the last 3 or 4 drives have ended midfield for both teams. Neither offense has been able to get anything going. The defenses have been staunch. Let's see if Lancaster can break that trend. Jack Taylor yelling out the cadence. There's a motion. He calls for the snap. He drops back to pass. He's rolling out to the right. A nice cut block from Lancaster. He's scrambling.
Jackson's running the
down
ball.
the line. And he gains a good few yards on the
Very
ground
good
with his
run there.
legs.
I believe that is a first down, and that is a fresh setter down for the Lancaster Bombers offense. I think that was all set up by number 23, Camille Ziatara, with a big cut block
Big on the
the
backside.
essential block, number 98, Connor Greenlow.
Yeah, you had a big man coming on the backside. You're not wanting that man chasing you down from behind, but an excellent cut block to send him into the dirt and give Jack Taylor the time to run down the line in safety. Very impressive.
No, very, very good play. He told me before the game he had a couple cut blocks in him, and he has delivered in that front.
Cut block, if you don't know, is where you essentially send your shoulder through someone's legs to block them rather than blocking them straight up with your hands and your body. Lancaster line it up again. They now have a fresh set of downs by the look of it. 1st and 10. Here we are.
Big first down here.
Ball is snapped.
And
Jack
they're giving
Taylor
to
moves it to the left. It's a counter.
Matt Charles.
Matt Charles breaking tackles. Gains a good few yards there. He's juiced. I think from what I've seen, on the sideline from this game and the playoff game, Lewis, Matt Charles looks like one of the hype leaders on this team. He looks like he's the guy bringing the energy on the sideline.
He's our president next year. He's going into the Matt Charles administration, and he looks to bring the intensity by hitting a statement win at Roses going into next season. And I love the guy, brings the intensity and brings his all to every single rep in American football.
See if I can get someone of Lancaster people to bring me some water. I've run out of water. I've underestimated how hot it is. Lancaster now snap the ball. They're running it out left with Matt Charles again. He stiff arms a man, but is brought down. Good job by the York defender, even though he was getting rushed over, still had the fortitude to bring down Matt Charles.
Once again,
not easy to do.
You see the tendency of the Bombers offense to just want their star players in wide spaces. That was a play completely designed for number 8, Matt Charles, to get one-on-one with a corner, one-on-one with a DB, and show his dominance outside.
Looks like they're going to QB sneak it to get the 3rd down yardage. They're pushing, they're driving, but the York Centurions push is strong as well. The whistle has not been blown. Now it has. Have they gotten the yardage?
I think you'll see that as a first down.
Much like on the goal line, it's an attempt to just gain just a yard or two.
And they've
like
got
Lancaster
the
have
first
the yards.
down. You hear the celebrations from number 6, Jack Taylor. He wants that first down, gets a whole new fresh set of downs, and can attack York and pile the pressure on and hopefully make it a 2-score game.
York a little bit more prepared for that compared to how they were in the end zone. They got caught off guard by that, but irregardless, unable to stop them from getting just the extra yard or two they needed to convert and get the fresh set of downs.
It's been
a new fresh lease of life.
It's been a very impressive drive from from Lancaster Bombers, but let's see what they're on to now.
If you're just tuning in now, the score is Lancaster Bombers 14, York Centurions 7, as the ball is right up the middle in a cloud of dust. Old school.
That was a very tricky run from Camille Ziatara. He wanted the outside run, like the Lancaster Bombers offensive schemers get it, but he saw more within the inside, drove up and got about 4 or 5 yards from driving it right up that middle.
And as I say, it's the old school mentality of just driving into bodies, driving through people. Not trying to finesse it. Just 5 yards in a cloud of dust, right up the middle. He's not afraid of the contact.
Not afraid at all, believe me.
As whistles are blowing, looks like maybe the end of the quarter, and sides are changing. Let's give us a quick breather. York, I think, just stood on something. York needs what Lancaster had earlier, which is that big momentum shifting play, that big turnover or a big tackle or something that just gets the blood flowing, something that gets the juices going. I think just to get them a bit more juicy. They're looking a bit flat at the moment, but as we know, that can happen at a moment's notice.
You can't understate.
Apologies for the crass language earlier. That was me.
Oh, my bad.
No, it was me, not you.
Okay, you cannot understate the importance of this drive. A big touchdown here from the Lancaster Bombers puts them up 2 scores, puts all the pressure on York, getting the ball.
Space though, so I'm going to step on it again. Right, here we go.
This is big, and we are here. I think it's around 2nd and 4 range from the Lancaster Bombers offense.
I'd say the pressure is higher than it looks on Lancaster to score right now. They're a score up. You might be thinking, they can probably keep going with that for a while, but really, they're a ground and pound offense. They grind out these yards. They work slowly and steadily. They're not an offense that can score at a moment's notice so far as we've seen. So, you know, they really need to build up a lead. They really need to gain some security so that, you know, if the York Centurions get back into it later in the game, they've got something to work with. You really want to be in the lead as a running offense.
In terms of Rose's live content, there's plenty to watch after this game. There's a big match coming up at around 6 o'clock, the opening ceremony, men's basketball Lancaster versus men's basketball York. Please stay tuned in to watch that. It's going to be a huge game, and I personally will be there.
My good friend Nick Burrows will be on the commentating for that, I'm sure. Shout out to him, my housemate. He's a great guy. Tune into that. It's going to be great. All right. Finally coming back from our break in play here. York making all the noise on the sideline for their defense with the horns.
With the Vuvuzelas, I believe. Corking it back to 2010 World Cup in South Africa with the Vuvuzelas.
Here we are. Jack Taylor lines up under centre, right behind his centre. The whistle was blown there. But no, maybe it wasn't. I heard whistling.
Matt Charles driving
through. That could have been a very nasty play. Could have been taken for stopped in the backfield for a few yards, but no, he reaches the line of scrimmage
number 8,
and more.
Matt Charles does not quit on plays. He will squeeze 3-4 yards out.
As I've been saying all game, that sort of mentality is a difference maker in a game like this, where both teams hate each other, where it's a physical sport. It's one where you need to assert dominance. You need to have that mentality of just don't quit. And you need to enjoy it fundamentally. I think, you know, when I think about all the times where I've not been having a good time playing a game, my head's not right for whatever reason, I just play so much worse. And one of the times that I've been enjoying just fighting, just not fighting as in scrapping, but just fighting as in with myself almost, the mentality, I just keep going. That's when I do all the damage.
Big 3rd and 1 here.
They're
running right up the middle with Camille.
Big blocking. And it's a first down. First and goal. Bombers are right on the doorstep here. It's mostly the Lancaster have been killing them on the outside runs, but the inside run there was excellent. You got to say that, you know, the O-line really was the difference maker there. They had some great blocking up front.
This is a big.
That is the thing about that's the advantage of owning like a heavy running offense, is that the defensive line gets tired. It's exhausting playing, you know, on a long drive where you're fighting and fighting and fighting. That's exhausting. And the Lancaster Bombers offense, you know,
this is absolutely huge for the York Centurions to stop this at defensively.
Here we go. Hand it off at the middle, pushing.
And he's got a couple yards there. We're going to look at a 2nd and goal situation of only about 2 yards. The QB sneak could be on, very much so, as we look for Lancaster to go 2 scores up. Go ahead touchdown.
There you go. Bring in number 2. Key player on the team. As you can see, when people get tackled, there's a bit of a cloud of dust out there. The ground is hard baked. It's painful to land on. But I think when you're in the thick of it, when you're riding high, you don't feel it. You just keep going.
Number 2, Leon Ellis. I've got a lot to say about him. Obviously, flatmate of mine. Love the man. Never scored a touchdown.
Our flatmates today.
Never scored a touchdown in a game. Is now the time.
Here we go. Coach Lee Hall can't look.
They're
running at the middle. They're pushing. He's brought down just short by the looks of it. Just turn your mic off if you need to. It's 3rd down. It's 3rd down now. It's very, very, very close. Lancaster have 2 more attempts. They're not gonna kick a field goal on the fourth down. They are gonna go for it each and every time. If they can go up 2 clean scores here, that would mean so much. You know, so far it's been okay. They're lining up for the QB sneak. They're gonna muscle their way in. They've done it twice before today. What is gonna happen? They push. Cheering from the York sideline, maybe. The whistle is blown. Nothing.
No, and they've got the ball on the 1 yard line. That's a big stop by the York Centurions. Way to put pressure on the Lancaster Bombers. A score there would have put them back against the wall. Now with the ball, they've got all the chance in the world to go and convert.
I missed that. I thought that was 3rd down.
Confusion.
No. Apparently. Well, yeah, that was the thing. I don't know. It's hard to see from this angle, obviously. But anyway.
This is a big,
Lancaster come off the field.
Stop here for
They're
the
a little bit.
Lancaster
The
Bombers.
celebrations are all now muted. after the failure to get in the end zone, but I think they should be holding their heads high. That was a big. That is. Hey, apologies for apologize for any language that you may have heard there. Yeah, the advantage of of that kind of thing, where you drive and drive and drive at the end zone, you maybe don't get in, but now you'll have to start the drive from their own end zone. If they get tackled, we will see the rare score of a safety. I'll explain that. Fanthorpe passes over the middle. It's caught. Oh, it's caught by the receiver, number 18, I believe, Matt Hill. And he gains crucial yards there for the York Centurions to get them out of the danger zone.
Tackle down there.
And they're at the 25-yard line.
Will Winter, he's a rookie in
Check his name. I can't. Number 18. Have you got the sheet? I think it's Matt Hill, but I don't want to get his name wrong after a play like that. He deserves some respect. Matt Hill, I was right.
On the prediction.
One of the York Centurions captains. He certainly made a crucial play there. Fanthorpe dropping back. He's got good protection. But he's intercepted by number 20, Jerome Addy!
And he's almost in, and he threw the ball in excitement. That's what I'm talking about. The president of the club showing why he's there. And that is the biggest four-quarter play that you could talk about. Way to make your name proud. Number 20, Jerome Addy.
The Lancaster sideline has exploded with energy. It has exploded. There's noise everywhere. And now the York Centurions defense, just moments after stopping the Lancaster offense in the red zone, has to go back out there and do it all again 4 more times if they want to keep this game close. So it's their fault, really.
Yeah, sorry about that. I may have got a bit overexcited. However,
they could have had a comment.
The pressure does get to me.
Anyway, here we go. This is. Oh, yeah. Lancaster offense gets another chance, another 4 attempts to make it in. They are on the doorstep once more. The ball is handed off to Camille. He runs left, outside. Does he have space? He cuts it up the middle. He is
in
for the touchdown! Lancaster,
second of the
20,
game.
York, 7. Lancaster now holds a commanding lead.
Number 23, Camille Ziatara, his second touchdown of the game, his 3rd overall Roses touchdown, asserting himself as one of the star players in this team with a commanding second touchdown to take this game to 2 scores, potentially.
It looks like they're going to kick the field goal, get the extra point, play for safety. Wow. It's looking like the curse of the white jersey may continue. It is looking like Lancaster may be en route to a 4th straight Roses victory for the Lancaster Bombers. Is it? No, it's 21. No, 20-7 currently. They're gonna attempt to kick the extra point here. Here we go.
This is a big field goal here.
The kick is blocked.
Not good,
it went low into the wall, formed by the York Centurions. Once again, yeah, I mean, the Lancaster Bombers, their kicking game has not been the best. They've attempted the point after twice,
well.
and they've failed it twice. I think from now on, if you see them score a touchdown, I think you're gonna see them do the 2-point conversion instead from now on. The kicking game has not been super reliable. And that gives York the slightest bit more chance, but as I said earlier,
2 touchdowns in this 4th quarter, a lot of time left. York Centurions could get back in it.
I mean, there's any team that is going to worm their way back into it with an explosive play, it's the York Centurions.
I'm gonna take a moment to compliment the offensive line of Lancaster Bombers, a position that doesn't get much
Shout
love.
out some of their names. They never get mentioned.
Shout out some of their names. I'm gonna go for George Wright, Mo. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Chamela, the centre, Rantau, Stephen, and Hugo Durston, all committing themselves for the teams. Not the most glorious positions, but they got it done when it mattered. Blocked lovely for number 23.
Let's go back to that interception. What happened there?
What a play by Jerome Addy.
Interception in the red zone. We're going to have to talk to Jerome post game or something.
He told me on the coach he was up for one, and he got one.
It happened so quick. I didn't
That's
even see
what
what happened
about.
really. York get the ball off the kick. They're running up the middle. Oh, and he runs straight over the Lancaster player.
Oh God, that's
runs
number
straight
8.
through him with some fervour.
That's number 98, Connor Greenlaw there. The defensive end with the ball in the wedge position on the drive. And he just ran that man over.
When you face someone like that, if you're going to tackle him head on, you need to get low. You need to get low. And ideally don't get straight ahead of him. Tackle him from the side. That was brave. That was brave. I'm not sure which Lancaster player that was, but that was brave.
I believe that was Timmy King's Attins. That was an unbelievably brave shot. He slowed him down enough just for his team to get in.
I mean, if you,
so there was no frowns going about
run
that.
away from that, then you know, Connor could easily have broken free there. It was looking good. He had some momentum, but yeah, eventually after he lost his momentum, knocking over Timmy, eventually brought down. But a great return from Connor there, really bringing the energy on the defense. I think it's mainly the Centurion Stars who are carrying it for them, bringing the energy. Is it Jerome?
Jerome Addy, number 20 there, coming off injured. A Warriors performance, not only in the pass game, but the run game. And that big interception to set up that 3rd touchdown for the Lancaster Bombers.
It's quite a loss for the Bombers defense.
That could prove pivotal to the final result of this game.
So, yeah, I think it's the Centurion Stars, Matt Hill, Tom Fanthorpe, Archie Bainge, and Connor Greenlaw, who we've really seen doing most of the damage today. It's their star power. Fanthorpe drops back. Aino's in his face. And he's intercepted again! Jack Watson with his 2nd interception of the day!
Oh my God! The middle linebacker with 2 picks.
Fanthorpe is seeing ghosts out there.
That word on my bingo card, and that is what it's all about. The Bombers' offense about to go on and pile on the pressure.
Oh
if they make this a free touchdown scoring game, their 3 scores up. I don't see a way back for the Centurions.
And the emotional energy of this game has completely swung in favour of Lancaster since the half-time. York went into this second half with a 1-point lead, feeling probably pretty good. And Lancaster, after a dicey first few drives where the ball didn't really go anywhere, have scored twice. They've had 2 interceptions. They're making all the big plays, and their offense continues to ground and pound. Let's see if they can do this now.
I'd like to shout out the defensive coordinator, Swimmers here. Since the half, they haven't made. I don't think they've made a completion. The pass coverage change has really messed the quarterback up.
Here we go. It's handed off again.
Number 2, Leon Ellis. He's got the
running
block.
up the middle. He dodges
Woo!
and gets brought down. Nice little cut from him there to avoid the first tackle, and then brought down after a 6-yard gain.
Sorry, my bad for being not impartial there.
Is it 5? 1, 2, 3.
That is around,
7,
I think
8,
that's
9,
nearer the
10.
6 region.
Looks like a
big yard.
1, 2, 3.
You've got to compliment the blocking scheme of the Lancaster Bombers offense. Leon, number 2, went
gain.
pretty much untouched for 6 yards.
Yeah, great blocking and great awareness from Ellis to make the cut when he did there. Lancaster now have a very, very nice 2nd and 4. This is exactly the kind of position they want to be.
That's a good
Make
snap.
more second downs. Leon Ellis gets the ball again. He runs
He's
outside
gone.
to the left.
Ooh.
And he looks like he's got the conversion. Does he? Let's see. Yes, the chains will move again. Lancaster offense, ground and pound, ground and pound. The great thing about this, when you're leading, you know, when you're down, it's not great to have a running offense because you don't have the ability to make fast yards quickly in a short amount of time and swing a game. But it's amazing when you're in the lead. It's amazing when you're in the lead because this running, unlike incomplete passes, you know, which will stop the clock and runs and the ball going out of bounds, you know, you get to run the clock out. When you're just running the ball over and over again, the clock keeps running. It keeps draining and it gives York less time to answer.
It's also it takes a demoralising effect on the defence.
Ball's handed off to Camille. No. Oh, and he's tackled in the backfield. Big Connor Greenlaw.
That's number 21, Luke Dover there, a first-year fullback. And that's a huge tackle by 98, Connor Greenlaw, stamping his authority on this game and showing that York aren't done just yet.
I mean, I can relate to the way he's feeling probably right now. I've played several games where I've played, especially in my adult ball season, where my team has been down big and I've just been there. You just get to this point of, you know, forget about the score. Let's just play hard. I'm angry. I'm upset. Let's just take it out on the other team, and and play the best. And he's playing a fury. He's playing with anger.
Yeah, he's playing unbelievable.
Lancaster are better off running the opposite way, to be honest. Here we go. They do just that. Leon Ellis takes the ball, and they gain a few yards there. So 3rd and short. makeable for Lancaster. Will they attempt their QB sneak again? It didn't work in the end zone.
I think this is obviously being third and 10. Unfortunately, it's a bit too far.
Oh, sorry,
out.
I missed the.
But
I thought that was the. I thought that was the.
You can expect a
My
pass
bad,
here,
third and 10.
potential go for it on 4th down territory. I mean, they're already packed in quite far on their area. I don't know because of obviously the PATs being a bit more unsuccessful today. Is it
Sure.
wise
I mean,
going for a field goal?
I wouldn't attempt the field goal. I think, maybe you go for a pass here, maybe, but like we haven't, if Centurions will be ready for it. I'd just say run the ball and see, maybe try something creative. They are going to pass it. We did play action, but the whistle dead for
the whistle
it'll be an
early
offensive
on.
penalty
I believe
most likely.
I think that's a false start.
We're waiting to see what happened there, but yeah, I think
Waiting to hear the result of that call.
Lancaster, when York are expecting the pass, Lancaster has not, really produced anything from the pass game. You're in the lead. You've got 13 points on the Centurions. I say play it safe, run the clock out, keep good field position, and let your defense do the work.
Yeah,
you can trust them.
Has been the stonewall of the season. It's been your ever-present. Put the ball in the hands of the York Centurions late on and expect your defense to turn up. That's what I want.
Lancaster do indeed get moved back 5 yards for, I believe, a false start. That's not great. They're going to want to convert this. Argon and D are going to have to pass it now. York will be ready for it. They could really do up a turnover, to be honest. Let's see if that's what they can accomplish right now. He does indeed drop back for a pass. Jax Taylor is throwing. There's a flag on the field.
Another flag.
It's up. And it's off the hands of the York, the defensive back.
Most of the passes seem to be very well cut. Sorry, my bad. A lot of the passes seem to be very well covered by York. The pass coverage scheme seems to sort it out very well. Although the York Centurions, when they are passing the ball, usually offer 5 wide receiving options.
Can we get some water?
Usually offer 5 wide receiving options, while the Lancaster Bombers are only offering 3, so it's a lot more easier to guard in that terminology. However, it's harder to block the run with the 2 running backs that they usually have present as well.
If Lancaster wanted to get the passing game going, well, the best time to do it would be on maybe 1st or 2nd down.
Yeah, so it's very interesting here. It's a 3rd and around 20 from. It's a 3rd and around 20 from the Lancaster Bombers.
They got moved back by another penalty by the looks of it. Oh no!
Moved back from. Okay, so it's actually around more of a 3rd and 15 situation. And now we're going into 4th down, and I believe the Lancaster Bombers are going for it.
Probably what happened there is a penalty, but it was declined because York would rather just get Lancaster onto their 4th down, so they have to punt it away.
They're looking for optimal field position here.
They're not punting. Oh no, they are punting.
And now the Lancaster Bombers are punting.
Yeah, I think that's the wise move. As I was saying, I think if Lancaster wanted to get the pass game mixed in here, probably the best time to do it would be on 1st or 2nd down when the Centurions aren't expecting it. But then again, from Coach Rosie's standpoint, the offensive coordinator, why bother? Run game is working so well, and York haven't found an answer to it yet. It just does mean that when Jax Taylor has to take a pass on 3rd or 4th down and long, the downside is that they're expecting it and they really have. It's not been successful yet. So
you're seeing camaraderie there by number 73, Luciano Gomez.
Oh, he loves. I'll tell you from my experience playing, he loves doing that. He loves being all friendly with them, so they're less angry with him.
Yeah.
I like being all cold and whatnot, but he loves making friends with the offensive linemen, so they're not as angry and not as energetic.
I for
it's his
one
tactic.
Can't follow his form.
No, I can't do that.
But each their own.
Takes me out of it. Here we go. Lancaster about to punt the ball away. They're running a shield punt.
It's 4 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. This punt looks
not a great punt. Not doing much pinning, but it gets them about maybe 10, 15 yards. 15 yards. Not the best punt. Actually, well, not even 15 yards. If you count it from where the line of scrimmage was, that was really only a gain of about five yards. So not the best punt.
Not the best punt at all there, but
I mean both teams have the punt game. I think special teams has really been a bit more of has been where the flaws in this thing have shown the Division 2-ness of it. Otherwise, because they've had so much time to practice, the offensive and defensive sides for both teams has been explosive and very technical and very well drilled.
I've heard from one of my friends on the sideline. There is about 4 minutes and 20 on the clock. York need 2 scores. Number 15, Connor Swales is in. A new quarterback. Can he handle it? And he's picked off!
Whoa! Is he holding on to it?
Again!
It's interception again.
The fourth interception from the York Centurions, and the Lancaster Bombers defense are taking over this Roses game.
My goodness, York desperately needed to get something going there. Desperately, I think they might have brought Connor Swales in there as maybe Fanthorpe had lost confidence. Maybe they had to bring in a fresh arm.
Three interceptions in the second half. 2 interceptions leading to touchdowns.
Immediately
Has
picked off.
the interception curse killed the York Centurions in this Roses fixture?
You have to be so demoralised, don't you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
The field position, 4 interceptions.
I mean, I can't imagine what it feels like because I've been in that position when you run a team which is just getting your arses kicked. Honestly, this is a battering at this point, and that's not being biased. That's an honest depiction of things. It must be so demoralising.
Now the offense are back out there, around 30 yards to go. Are they just going to run it and see it in? Luke Dover up the middle.
Absolutely, they are. Now mixing up the running backs they're throwing in. Not to be impartial. You're trying your hardest not to be impartial. Yes, we can see that.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not sorry and all that.
You'll work on that.
Fortunately, an active player at Lancaster Bombers who can't play, so it's a bit awkward watching.
Yeah.
We're trying our hardest. I mean, to be on the best show.
It's all right. Stop apologising. You're doing good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Lancaster now. Yeah, they'll just look to run the ball out, run the clock. Not give York a chance to do anything. Connor Greenall is doing everything he can, though. My God, destroys a block and brings down the Lancaster running back.
98, Connor Greenall stamping down his authority, telling you cannot run his side without him being involved in the play.
Let's think about
up the play there.
About MVPs for this game. But if you had to pick one player from the Centurions that made the most difference, York's MVP has to be Connor.
Oh, it would have to be. Yeah,
don't think there's any doubt about that. He's been
in terms of defense, he's stuffed the run up front. Lancaster Bombers, I know, but going into this game, were looking primarily to run the ball away from him because of his strengths. So him being as much of a presence has really limited the run game sometimes.
Yeah. Right, here we go. You've got third and short. Camille runs the ball outside, but he's brought down from behind. Don't think he's got the first down yardage, but he is close. Oh no, it's a first down. Lancaster getting a crucial first down. Just gives them another 4 opportunities to just drain that clock out. And if they can score, that is the nail in the coffin. I don't think there's any coming back from that, no matter how explosive York are. If they want anything,
time is ticking.
Any chance of winning Roses this year, it is now or never. They need to stop this. They need to force a quick turnover.
I think the score has been almost under-complimentary to the York defence. I think the York defence have played quite well, to be honest, overall, in stuffing up their run game. And there's still
not the run game so much. I think
there still hasn't been a completion in that regard.
Well,
however,
defense has been immaculate.
The interceptions of the offense have really turned the tide of this game.
Okay, Matt Charles has the ball.
Matt Charles is
straight
into
the
touchdown.
For the touchdown.
It's a 4th touchdown for Lancaster. It's a 4th straight Roses win.
The Lancaster
Bombers.
26. York Centurions 7 currently, and Lancaster now has the chance to convert. My goodness. It's turned into a real drubbing. Matt Charles there almost went in untouched. Like, it wasn't even like... There wasn't any doubt there. It's like the Centurions have just lost their flame, lost their energy.
It's the first time Lancaster Bombers have scored 4 touchdowns in a game this season. Way to save your time for the biggest game of
almost the
mirroring.
Season. Oh, the Bombers always. This is classic. Anyway, the Bombers. This is almost a mirroring of the playoff game we witnessed a month ago, where after a couple of quick momentum swings, the Bombers' heads dropped and weren't able to win. As they try to attempt the 2-point conversion, it's tackled in the backfield, nothing there.
Yeah,
the score will remain 26-7. But irregardless, that
it's
is
hard. It's hard for the
lead.
York Centurions side. How do you pick your players up? 3 scores down. 3 minutes on the clock in the 4th quarter.
I mean, it is one of the hardest things to do. To give credit to the York boys, it's one of the hardest things to do in this situation, to keep playing your best against all the odds. My goodness. So, Matt Charles holding his back. He looks like he's taken a few knocks there. He's been through the walls today, but it's all paid off. You know, feeling sore and feeling strained and bruised after a game is one thing when you won.
It's
You
big,
can
yeah.
look past all the soreness, look past all the pain. When you've lost, you feel that a lot more, all the knocks you've taken, in my experience. You know, they're less wounds of war and more just painful. You haven't got anything to show for it. But my goodness, the atmosphere, it just feels, the energy is just almost dissipated, the tension. It feels that everyone knows the game is over. But
There's
please
a real lack of
don't tune out, because I'm sure we've got some
real
fireworks
lack
to
of
go.
energy.
York still have Pride to play for, and we're going to have some interesting post-game stuff.
Post-game interviews
So
with the MVPs.
Lancaster
It's
kick
a
off again.
big kick,
Who would you?
yeah.
Let's wait for this play. It's kicked away to the left, bounces off. Anyway, goes to the sideline. Not a great kickoff, but you know the Bombers don't need much at this point in time. Who would you say are your MVPs for the game?
I'd definitely say Camille Ziatara would be obviously one of them. 3 touchdowns. You can't deny a hat trick in Roses. However, my big shout out is going to be to the interior offensive line. A lot of them
The
runs.
whole offensive line.
The whole offensive line, in fact, actually. A lot of them runs have come from outside, inside, all of these areas. And the offensive line.
Naming
have
MVPs.
blocked
It's the problem with naming
to
MVPs
life.
because, especially in the run game, everything's so interlinked. Like, if I could just nominate everyone involved in the run game. I would.
Defensively, though, I'm going to have to hold up to Jack
Jack
Watson.
Watson. It's Jack
you
Watson.
can't get
He's
2
not-
picks in Rosie for a middle linebacker. and
You
not
know,
get
big
talked about.
shout out to Jerome Addy.
Yeah,
shout out to the
shout out.
D-line,
Shout
because
out
the
to Ray
D-line,
Alinio, yeah,
the D-line as a
100%.
unit have been doing all day, especially Rayhan.
There we
But I don't think we can, in good conscience, give it to anyone
Big.
except Jack Watson. Big
Number
Jack Watson.
15, Connor Swales
The
in
press.
here. What is he going to magic up for the York
He needs
Centurions?
something. He needs
And
something
he
to
looks for
retain
the
honour.
pass. It's a
screen.
screen
Nice,
blown
modest gain.
up by number 66. I can't tell who that is.
I think despite the circumstances, I think honestly, it frees you up. Knowing
And I
that,
believe
you
that is
don't need to
Mikey.
worry
That's an
about-
unbelievable play from him, blowing it up.
That being said, knowing, having this thing of like you've come in and the game's now, the game's now decided, but knowing that you're just in there and you can just do the best you can of the situation, and there's not that pressure anymore of like the whole win is hanging on me. I think it frees you up to do something. So let's see what Connor Swales can do. He's got the chance to just
Seeing
end
heavy.
things on a high note, even if the score has gone as far as it has. He drops back. He's got some good protection. He fires deep, and the ball lands
Ball
incomplete.
is
It's third down.
incomplete there. Good throw from 15, trying to target that man. I believe 88 down the middle on a little post route. However, it is good pass coverage, good deep coverage.
It's almost flip. Earlier in the game, we were seeing the coverage maybe not be the best from Lancaster, but the pressure being elite. Now we're seeing the Lancaster defensive line not finding it as easy to get to the quarterback, but the coverage being
In my
very
opinion,
tight.
what's almost switched this game is talking to Coach Swimmers at half time. He wanted to change the scheme. 3 interceptions in the second half. He has done that.
He drops back. Oh, he's being chased down by Jack Watson, and he is brought back. Sacked by Jack Watson, just adding to the accolades. The MVP, the undisputed MVP. One word. I have you one word. Legacy. Legacy. All right. Looks like we've almost hit the 2-minute warning. So, York now with a 4th and very long.
Incredibly long.
Looks like about
I
30
think it's about
yards.
4th and 25 at this point.
Right, I think more 30. Okay, so but the Centurions have nothing to lose, so they're not going to punt. They're going to go for it. They're going to see what they can do, and I respect
fair
that.
play.
Here we go. Swales drops back. The pressure is unreal. He throws. Oh, he's very close to
Good.
number 12.
It's
number
a good
12.
it's a good
Shout
pass
out.
concept there from the York Centurions. However, not well delivered in the end. A little bit overthrown there by number 12.
No,
I believe.
overthrown by
Overthrown, sorry,
or
overthrown
either a mixture of the ball being overthrown and number 12 not quite getting there in time.
Number 12, Brandon Ellis. He's
Brandon
played
Ellis.
well today, to be fair. Used his height early on in the first half. But I remember interviewing Coach Swimmers at the half time, and I was like, what's gone wrong? What do you need to change in the first half to squeeze out a victory? He said, we need to shut down that large wide receiver on the DB side. And what have they done? They've shut it down. And that
has led to 3 interceptions.
Is he paying you? Is he paying you for the free advert?
I mean, I'm slightly advertising him. He's a legend at the club. He expects that.
Let's move this way a bit. Oh, wow. Okay, so Lancaster offense takes over. They've got some free reign to do what they want now. It's interesting to see whether they'll just take the conservative route and keep running the ball out, or whether they'll try some funky stuff. Jack Taylor hands the ball off. Runs up the middle. I believe it's Leon Ellis. We're at the middle.
He loves them. I believe he told me this morning he wants to fight for them yards, and that is a perfect example.
So it looks like, I mean, so far, Lancaster going to play it conservatively, run the timeout. We're going to see the 2-minute warning fairly soon. That'll give both teams a brief break to clear their heads and to work out what they want for the rest of this game. I mean, this has to be frustrating from the Centurion standpoint.
100%.
I mean, let's not. Yeah, okay, we got 2-minute warning now. I think we have to.
The game is done.
Oh my God.
The Lancaster Bombers. It's 4 in a row. It's heaven for the Lancaster Bombers as they win their 4th Roses in a row. How sweet it is after the playoff loss. And that is how you show them.
I've got to give York their stripes. They fought hard to the end. But Lancaster, with incredible splash plays when it mattered, and a ground and pound offense that never gave up, wins the day. You've got to give York their stripes. Early in the season, that playoff game, they did win. They've not lost the Bombers outside of Roses. But unfortunately, today, that's all that matters, and that'll be another 4 points on the board for Lancaster in Roses.
Aiming to get Lancaster University, their 4th consecutive win after their win last year. Lancaster University over York. Please tune in to our next featured games again in basketball, our opening ceremony for another big 4-point contest.
Thank you very much for watching. It has been an absolute pleasure. Wow, there goes the beer.
I believe we're going to be followed up by a couple interviews. The Lancaster celebrations will go on long into the night, believe me. Now we're going to get some interviews. I first want to interview number 23, Camille Ziatara. Where is he?
All right.
Sorry, if the celebrations are slightly jubilant at the minute. We're just going to get some interviews in here. Let me just find someone to interview. Fucking let's go. Come on, boys. Sorry, my bad for the language. I really am, my bad. First person we've got number 27 here for his interview. Theodore Pritchard, linebacker. So, Theo, what do you think tipped you over for the win in the end after the first half was so close?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's those picks that we had. The interceptions were amazing.
Oh, unreal.
4 interceptions for the team, 2 for Jack Watson. I think an amazing second half.
That is how we talk about it. And what do you think from an offensive perspective that we flip the switch to drive the ball a bit more?
Amazing running from the team.
Yeah,
I think just great putting it down the middle, outside runs, everything was perfect.
Unreal.
Great job from the O-line, great job from the running backs, and great lead blocking.
Well, I have to say, you played really well.
Thank
Theo,
you.
how do you feel about nailing that man on that kickoff return?
Special teams merchant over here. It was good.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how we do it. Well, thank you very much, Theo. We're going to find our next man to interview. Theo, can you get Camille? Because we're going to interview, my personal MVP, the hat-trick scorer of the day. 3 touchdowns. Get him now. 3 touchdowns on the day. Camille Ziatara. He is not coming over, though, which is kind of sad. Fair play, he's celebrating with his team. I have to say, that's a huge win for the Lancaster Bombers. They worked so hard for that win. Boot camp was long, grueling, lots of fitness, and I think we saw the reps of the reward there. You see the second half, a lot of fitness came into that element. They were driving the ball down deep in the 4th quarter, big picks in the 4th quarter. So you've got to love to see that from the Lancaster Bombers overall, to be honest. I'm waiting for interviews, so it's a bit awkward right now, but Jack. I've got a resident fan, Jack Dunn, in here now for an interview. Hello, Jack. How do you think the game went overall?
Oh, it's amazing. It's
How do you think that second half went in comparison to the first half?
a lot better. We really just outperformed York, I think, there.
Okay.
And I think we took it in our own hands.
I'd like to
It was
agree
insane.
now. What do you reckon was the motivating force behind the change in performance and the momentum of that game?
I just think that half time we just really needed to honestly just to kick up the arse. Like,
Yeah. Well, sorry about the language, but yeah.
Sorry. But we just the motivation. I think we found it on ourselves, and I don't know if you can see the celebrations are just gonna.
Yeah.
This is the fourth win in a row.
Fourth win in a row.
Which
This
I'm-
is
you know,
Rose's history in terms of American football. No
is
American
history,
football team
Yeah.
out of the Centurions and the Bombers have ever won 4 in a row, and I'm very, very proud to say
Yeah.
my Lancaster Bombers have
This is our team. Yeah.
encapsulated the 4th in a row. So
It's insane.
I'm
I mean,
very
we
happy
just-
about that.
We got so many picks in that last which
Well,
is
was it
just,
three interceptions in the second half?
It's just that's
2
rare.
of which were converted into touchdowns. So you've
Yeah.
got to say that's very good.
You can. Oh, we carry on. Okay.
So
I think it's gonna be a fun night. I think these lads have really earned their celebrations.
oh well, they definitely have.
Realistically, I think you should be on there shaking hands, to be honest. But
I probably should be, but we're here on commentary instead. Unfortunately, that's our head coach Lee Hall there, who gives his absolute all for the club. Nothing but positives to say about that man. Gives his all for the club, and he has reaped the rewards with that 4th consecutive Roses victory.
he gives everything. He gives absolutely everything for this team. And
yeah.
I know we'll be so happy with this win because
And
Yeah.
Jack, the real question is, obviously, I'm leaving the team this summer.
you are.
Is it going to be 5 in Lancaster next summer?
I think so, Lewis.
Okay. It's what we like to hear. And
I don't see why not.
overall, it's heartbreaking for the York Centurions. They put up a very good fight. Did
did.
not quit right until the end. But overall, what would you have to say about the Centurions?
I think they've always been a decent team. I've realistically not many bad words to say
Oh,
about
no,
them.
neither.
They're
Lovely
all
bunch
they're
of
all
guys,
lovely
by all
guys.
accounts.
I've played 2 years in a row against them, and
Yeah.
they've always put up a good fight. Always been very sportsman. A lot of the team here still, surprisingly, still there.
Yeah.
And I know some of the players on that pitch.
Yeah.
And I think they just got unfortunately overhauled in that second half.
Oh, 100%.
And they just couldn't deal with the pressure we were putting on them.
Yeah, 100%. As overall MVPs go for the game, who would you say would be your overall MVP?
Probably a star. It'd be a running back.
Yep.
For us, usually the standard Camille Ziatara or Matt Charles.
Yep.
I think some players had a great game. I think Leon Ellis really
Ran that ball.
He ran the ball. He really did, and he was putting a lot of pressure on the York defence.
Imperious, in fact.
And I think Jax, with the pressure he was under, did a really good job of keeping a calm head.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not much passes. I do you know the thing I can't fathom is that the fact the Lancaster Bombers won that game. We won that game scoring 4 touchdowns to 1 touchdown. I believe the score in the end was around 27-7. And we did not make a pass the entire game.
No, we didn't. I don't think we completed a pass.
Is that what it's all about at Div 2 Uniball?
Apparently so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that is definitely something we need to work on.
Oh, yeah.
I think
As a wide
Lancaster
receiver going into next season,
Exactly,
you would
yeah.
say that, wouldn't you?
I would like to think that as a man that has not had enough completions and pass receptions, I think that is something I would love to see be included in
But
the Lancaster Bombers.
you really saw there the dangers of the running offense
Yeah,
and
100%.
draining the clock. We scored like 3, I believe it was 4 unanswered touchdowns in that
Yeah.
game because they scored the first.
Yeah.
So it really goes off to
It
show
went,
who.
Once we start, we can't stop.
No. Anyway, well, the Lancaster Bombers are obviously celebrating. The York Centurions are obviously heartbroken, so commiserations to them. There is still many games of this Roses weekend that we need to watch out for.
Yeah.
Any highlights that you're looking forward to in terms of Roses games?
I am very much looking forward to basketball tonight. I think that'll be always a good game.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
I'm
to
excited.
be honest, all of them.
All of them,
I
no,
think,
that's a good shout.
I think every single game, people always put their all into. I think just go out, enjoy the weekend, see what sports you can find on the live stream, and I think just anything you fancy, to be honest, anything that you're free for, give it a watch, because it'll...
Also, you need, I think as a Rosa specialty, you need to kind of try sports so you're not more familiar with. I mean, last year we watched canoe polo, and it was a great watch.
Great game.
We watched lacrosse, it was a great watch.
Great game.
So when you're here in York, obviously on this lovely weekend and this May bank holiday weekend, give everything a try that you possibly can, watch as many things as you can, and try and enjoy your weekend, and support your team you're after.
I 100% agree.
And,
I think, as long as you're willing to support and put in the energy,
obviously respect with
respect both teams. I
respect,
think.
yeah.
Don't go off the rails.
Oh no, 100% not. But overall, an unbelievable performance for the Lancaster Bombers. What can they take from that game? Do you reckon overall?
I think this is a lot of players. Last game, you included. Unfortunately, obviously, I know you couldn't play, but
it's quite sad. But what can we do?
Watching these lads here, they've put their all into it. I think a lot of them will be very, very pleased with this performance.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I know a lot of these lads will remember this. Some of them haven't lost against York at Roses.
Well, for one, I mean, obviously I didn't play
would be
today,
the same,
but
yeah.
I'm 3-0.
Exactly.
It's quite sad for the York court in the sense that they've now had 2 full generations of uni students coming in and not winning a Roses if they played American football. It's quite a complimentary record of the Lancaster Bombers, but it's the reality of the situation. For the York Centurions' point of view, what would you reckon they should do maybe to change structural issues in their club to kind of come back and win the Roses next weekend?
Well, I think...
next year, sorry, my bad.
Roses. I think they've obviously got it in the bag. They beat us in the season by 10 points, which is, in our division is a decent scoreline. And I think they just need to take it on the chin and come back. And
anyway, so we are now finishing up. Tune into all other Roses live content over the weekend, and I'd like to thank you, my other presenter, James Hunt. I'm not too sure he's gone. Jack Dunn, obviously, here on co-commentary. And thank you very much. And have a lovely rest of your weekend, all right, everyone? Thank you very much. Cheers.
Oh God! Oh, wait, do you want to rush over there first, or?
I'm going to
Jason, take a photo of us.
Thanks for listening. Roses Live is brought to you by URY and Balerig FM. Thank you for listening. This broadcast has now ended. You can find more coverage at roseslive.co.uk. Thank you for listening. This broadcast has now ended. You can find more coverage at roseslive.co.uk. Thank you for listening. This broadcast has now ended. You can find more coverage at roseslive.co.uk.